Yo, Atlas speaking, and welcome to part 3 of What If I Was Reborn into My Hero Academia as Izuku Midoriya with the Ultimate Gamer System. Let the tale begin. Chapter 25, Why Do You Care So Much? In a narrow alley filled with grime and the scent of garbage, Jiren walked slowly, his footsteps echoing through the area. He picked up a small pebble and threw it at an apartment window. Seeing no response, he repeated the action. Who in tarnation wants an ass whoop? Oh hey Jiren. Babagawora looked down with a smile, his previous frown gone. I got a job for you. Jiren spoke in a carefree manner. Asterisk. I don't feel like doing anything. Asterisk. Babagawora complained tiredly, a cigarette in his mouth. He wore a baggy white tank top, brown pants, and his facial hair was unkempt, a classic depressed old man appearance. Although, he just became 31, but he appeared older due to stress. Okay, how about this? You come with me and I'll introduce you to some friends. Jiren persuaded with a smile. Don't wanna, he said sadly. When do I start? He said happily. Split personality disorder, caused by the identity crises his quirk inflicted upon him. While Babagawora's quirk could be stated to be the strongest quirk in the world as it can copy anyone's quirk and create tens of thousands of copies of himself or others, it still doesn't follow his will. The beings he creates have their own aspirations and thoughts, they are not linked to him like the pro-hero ectoplasm who could link his clones to himself like a hive mind. If Babagawora could control the clones he creates, the world will be under his control. His quirk, Double, allows him to create a clone of anyone and anything he has an exact measurement of and a deep understanding of their personality. Initially he could only make 2 copies of himself, but he overcame this limit by making his copies make copies and on end. In theory, he can make hundreds of thousands of himself or anyone. Downsides? He can't control them, they have their own personality and aspirations, they don't follow his orders. Alright, meet me at this location. He threw him a card. Babagawora Jean caught the card with his hand, a somewhat happy expression on his face. He needed this, a bond that he can form, a friend. If not, he feared what he would do to himself. I'll be there. Like hell I would. Asterisk. Jiren shook his head. So is that a no or a yes? It's a yes. Alright. He walked away. Yo, Shoto. Izuku stared at him with a carefree smile. He stood there, conflicted. He wanted to best him, but he knew that Izuku is stronger and faster than him, the current him can't handle Izuku. So, solution? Aim for those that he can target. Otherwise, he will be eliminated. He took a step back slowly. Izuku took a step forward slowly, a predatory grin on his face. You know, Shoto, I never really liked your attitude. He began, approaching him without any defense. But Shoto was smarter than this, he knew a trap when he saw one. HW won't attack. You see, I know that your life is full of shit. But so what? Mine is also full of shit. He smiled, cleaning his ear with his pinky finger. What? Asterisk surprised? You probably see me as a guy who was always strong, loved by everyone and admired by his peers, right? He snickered. Shoto remained silent, but his expression told him that he hit the bullseye. Well, let me break it to you, asterisk. Izuku spread his hands. My life was shit before UA. I had nothing. Just a loving family. Consisting of one woman. He said in self-depreciation. Asterisk, but look at you, you've got a father, mother, siblings, and probably relatives too. Your father is full of shit, but you have many replacements. Look at me, if my mother is gone. Who will greet me when I return home? His voice was tinged with sorrow. You know nothing about my life. Well, allow me to guess. Shitty father, shit family dynamic with an abused mother, am I right? You're overstepping your boundaries, Midoriya. Mind your own business. Shoto said, voice raising with rage. It hurts to be read so easily. It's almost as if he was saying that his suffering wasn't anything special, that his life and everything he went through was an average normal experience. If I remember correctly, the rules of the second event is that we can do anything as long as we don't kill the other opponent. So no, my boundaries are not broken through. In fact, I'll still talk shit until I feel satisfied. He said with a mocking finger. Last warning, stop pressing me. Ah, what's wrong? Eyes getting misty? Gonna cry, asterisk he made a mocking cry gesture. Shoto made sharp icicles and threw them in his direction. They flew at hyperspeed and were aimed at his head. Lethal if struck. Ha! Izuku swatted them away like flies, waving his hand and creating a violent current of wind that blew them away. Shoto protected his eyes from the wind using his forearm. He unleashed an ice attack using that short chance. Spikes of ice popped out of the earth below Izuku. It struck his leg and broke upon impact. It's useless. You're weak. He jumped at him, pulling his arm back for a devastating punch. Shoto heard alarms blaring in his head. He jumped instantly and used the ice to push himself up. Izuku's fist struck the ground, shattering it and caving it in from the sheer force, sending sharp shards in all directions. He looked up with a deadly malicious smile. Come here! Izuku leaped and followed him with high speed. The eyes locked with each other, sending chills of fright deep into his heart. Shoto was scared. Scared that Izuku has lost his mind. Facing an opponent that could easily kill him if he tried, his instinct directly reacted before his mind could process everything. H-A-A-H, fire roared to life from his left side, breaking the thin sheet of ice that was enveloping him. Izuku smiled. The plan was simple. Traumatize Shoto harder than Endeavor did to make him stronger, to force him to go 100%. Pain, gain, simple guy math, it can't go wrong. A torrent of violent flame shot out from his hand, aiming directly at him. Izuku clapped his hands together, unleashing a sonic wave that dispersed the sea of fire heading his way. Boys, President Mike roared angrily. Fighting is prohibited. You can only defend yourself from getting your artifact stolen. Midoriya. Stop trying to kill Shoto, last warning asterisk Aizawa sighed with a tired face. TSK. Izuku smiled carelessly, spreading his hands out helplessly, making the crowd laugh at his antics. His purpose was achieved anyway. Shoto has used his fire, regardless of reasons. Shoto stood there, heaving and sweating from the freight he just felt. His life flashed before him just now. Izuku Midoriya has shown him a serious killing intent. He felt like he was facing a seasoned villain just now, like a real tiger trying to devour him. Asterisk ha. Ha, asterisk he stared at Izuku, ready to attack with the slightest twitch of his muscles. He was scared, but his rage was also barely contained. He made him use his father's power. While it pissed him off to no end, he felt like it was the only way to protect himself from him. However, he could feel this sense of imbalance between his left side and his right side. His right side was stronger than his left. While it was expected since he didn't train it, it left him feeling uncomfortable. Like a numb limb. Relax, I won't hurt you, asterisk he lifted his arms up in a surrendering pose. Shoto kept staring at him, his face unreadable. Perhaps it was my imagination. Midoriya-san wouldn't try to kill me. Right? Shoto felt that it would make sense. After all, it was just a sports festival. Izuku Midoriya won't try to seriously harm anyone. Facing him is worse than facing a villain. He's terrifying. Shoto! A fiery figure roared from the stands, urging him to push himself and fight. Endeavor saw it just now. Shoto has used his flames to attack. With a little push then certainly. Seeing his father telling him to fight, Shock decided that he has had enough. His fire ceased instantly. Wadi? And oh! He retreated slowly, keeping his eyes on Izuku. Disappearing from his sight, Izuku decided that he has had enough as well, so he didn't chase anyone else. While he could easily solo half of the stadium, including its heroes, he also knew that he has to give them a chance to shine. This is a festival meant to market themselves to the heroes. If he stopped them all now, then what will they do? They needed the training. Plus, training makes them stronger. The stronger they are, the happier he is. Say, Shishida, why do you care so much? I never understood this part about you. And muttered, locking his gaze with him. That's a good question. Why did he care? He frowned, unsure. He did love them, he wished to protect them, but why? Why was he, a stranger in a world that he considered a TV show, caring so much about the characters? Aren't they side characters? Why care? But Shishida knew the answer. He never saw them as a side character, he never saw himself as an alien amongst them. Because I love them. Why? He was unsure, but he knew one thing for sure. His family and friends loved him, so he will love them back. That's all there is to it. He liked to see himself as a mirror. Those who favor him will be favored by him, those that antagonize him will be antagonized by him. Izuku was a simple man with a simple moral perspective. While he didn't approve of murder, he still is willing to kill. After all, a nation is built on the corpses of its enemies. Soldiers kill all the time, yet they are seen as heroic figures. Why? Well, it's all about perspective. If a man came to your house and tried to kill your mother, would you let him go? Would you call the police on him? What about when he gets out of jail? Won't he try to retaliate? How will a man know that? He wouldn't. Can you sleep at night knowing that someone somewhere is counting his days to destroy everything you love? If so, what will you do when you confront him? Can a man control his murderous intentions when faced with a similar situation? Bad people don't need a reason to be bad. They are like animals who follow their whims. Luckily, Izuku is strong and will not hesitate to kill anyone that even dares to threaten him. Can't leave a threat roaming the streets freely. After everything is said and done, Shishido Psycho, who is now Izuku Midoriya, is a coward and a negative person. He does not believe in the good of people. 2 minutes left. Is no one going to attack Midoriya Izuku anymore? President Mike announced, breaking his thoughts. It was true. He has been monologuing for a solid minute now, and yet nothing happened. No one dared to attack. Everyone is busy avoiding him. He stared at Momo. She held a Nerf gun loaded with a pepper spray bullets. She hit anyone who approached her, making them fall and cry on the floor in pain. Shinszo, calmly hiding behind a shield made of his opponents, they stood there, calmly and fearlessly protecting him. Their golden artifacts are long gone from their necks. Tokoemi stood behind Izuku, a calm expression on his face. He was ready for anything that Izuku can't handle. You're that handsome guy, right? Handsome guys should just go to hell, a small purple figure announced with passion. Izuku turned to the figure of Mineta as multiple balls were heading in his direction. He flicked his finger. The balls redirected their direction due to the heavy wind pressure. The attacker was hurled back and rolled a few times until he disappeared from sight. The current Izuku is not someone a student from UA can match, nor any hero school for that matter. But still, he wasn't strong enough to protect his loved ones, so he needed help, a help from an outsider. Someone who is foolish enough that he would be willing to die for his loved ones. As for the protection of UA, he doesn't trust Nizu with anything. He wanted his Mither in UA to protect her from AFOs, goons, and to relocate. The only reason that Izuku hasn't directly taken his mother to another country is the existence of All Might. He is strong enough to protect her, and is willing to give everything for her. Still, All Might is someone who he loves, so he can't have him be a sacrificial bodyguard for his family, because Izuku saw All Might as a part of his family. He pondered, weighing the situation and its solutions. As expected, he needed a disposable pawn. Chapter 26 Endeavor. Damn it! Endeavor slammed his hands on the railing, frustration boiling through. Why? Just. Why? He tried his best to improve him, to make something more of him, to make him stronger for his own good. Is it wrong to try to make your son better? In the center of the stadium, a team of 4 stood near each other, calmly chatting away. The viewers thought that these kids are different than every other team. Reason? The existence of Izuku Midoriya amongst them. He was a repellent, a very powerful repellent. He stood as an impenetrable wall that zapped anyone that approached him to death. Midoriya-san, are you sure about us staying on the sidelines? Tokoemi asked, unsure. So far, he hasn't shown any qualifications for the heroes watching to enroll him with them, so he was getting impatient. Don't worry. Your time will come and I'll make sure that you shine more than a burning star. He answered with a smile. Still, Izuku was curious, where is Bakugo? On the O'Hare side of the stadium, Bakugo stood up, his fists emitting smoke. Behind him lies a figure with a charred black hair and a beaten body. And stay down, he barked with rage, walking away. Just. What did I do? Sen remained in place, sprawled with a defeated look. Just. Why? That's all Senkaibara wanted to know. While he fought back, he couldn't take him on at all. His quirk, Gyrate, couldn't help him at all. He was fast and his attacks trilled into his mind, shattering his focus. The sounds that his explosions emitted prevented him from hearing his movements, the smoke blocked his sight and the fast attacks left him no time to react. Still, wasn't he a bit harsh? Why so serious? It's just a game. With his qualifications and powerful quirk, he could take down many teams alone, so why did he chase him? Something is missing and Sen was willing to find the reasons for this attack. Still, he was pissed that he thought he would leave him alone after this ass-whopping he endured. He slowly got up, a pebble in his hand. He threw it at the retreating figure of Bakugo, a determined expression on his face. Senkaibara was not a man who can be bullied. He refused to. Bakugo turned around, catching the pebble and staring at him calmly. The two stared at each other for a long moment. Sen assumed a fighting stance, spitting some blood on the ground. They had both left their teams, standing alone in the outskirts of the area of combat. Still, he had less than a minute left to collect his artifacts, he needed them to pass. However, he wouldn't try to take Izuku's artifact, that's suicide. Bakugo is a crude bashing kid, but he wasn't an idiot. He knew his limitations and always stood at the line of them. Still, while his views on Izuku has changed, his nature as a bully hasn't. He took whatever he wanted from the weak. Want it back? Fight him for it. In this world, the weak can only watch helplessly as the strong takes everything. However, Bakugo was unsure. Why did he hold a grudge against this guy in particular? Was it because of that silly girl's hair? So what, it's just hair. It's just hair. Right? It's not like he liked her or anything, she doesn't even know he exists. Speaking of her, she failed from the first event, her quirk makes her a powerful sniper but a horrible runner. She can make anything she touches bigger, the bigger an item is the heavier its weight. Let's say she threw a little pebble at you, midway the pebble will turn into a giant boulder that can crush you to death. She's strong. Strong. That's right. Bakugo liked her strength, nothing more, this must be it. Bakugo walked away, ignoring Kaibara-sen. He got his artifact, job's done. He was happy. Unexpectedly, he had a knack for being a barber. Unfortunately, for now, he could only do a full shave. Sen stood there, lowering his arms with defeat. He has lost, fair and square. While he didn't like to admit it, he was weaker. Time to hit the gym again. Bakugo ran fast around the field, looking for a target. There you are. Izuku greeted warmly with a happy smile. You stay there, I'll deal with you on the next event, He pointed at him and hurriedly walked away. He was running out of time. Asterisk his smile faded with a disappointed expression. He wanted to beat the shit out of Bakugo, but now he can't. This sucks. He sat in a corner, sulking and drawing circles on the dirt. 20 seconds left. Aizawa's monotone voice announced, making the students restless. Bakugo dodged and weaved through the students, stealing their artifacts. 10. Shoto froze multiple students, taking their artifacts as well. 5. Izuku stood up, now sure that no one will try to challenge him anymore. He approached his teammates for a group high. 5. 3-inch. Uraraka and multiple other students managed to steal some artifacts in the last seconds, using the timer as a distraction. The time is overt present, Mike declared loudly, stealing the last countdown from Aizawa. Izuku high-fived his team, cheerfully cheering with them. Aizawa now knows what it felt like. It's annoying. Like someone stealing the last and best slice of pizza, so full of cheese and toppings, directly from your plate. Present Mike looked at him, triumphant. He pressed a button on the motherboard, cutting the sound. Talk shit, get shit, Aizawa. My bad. The two men reconciled and shared a snack. It has to be said that his friendship with Yamada is unshakable. But he felt like his life was missing someone. A close friend of his, a dead one. Or is he? He wasn't sure and he couldn't do anything about it, so why sulk? He'll just enjoy this moment with everyone else. In a worn-down apartment building, Himiko Toga crossed her hands with a huff. I don't like being around old crusty men, their blood tastes the worst. While she appeared like a cute harmless little schoolgirl, her words could send a chill down anyone's spine. Well, except Jiren, he didn't really care about what she does, he wanted to bring her over because of profit. He'll give her some money and keep the rest for himself. That and the fact that he works for AFO, so he must bring out the best he can find. Upon hearing about a psychotic girl who killed anyone who approached her, he was instantly interested. The ability to kill so easily, useful. 8 million, how about that offer? Pretty sweet, right? He coaxed her gently. I don't want your money. She closed the door to his face, but Jiren was faster as he put his shoe on the door, blocking it from closing. How about a family? I know someone who wants to make a friend there. He'll love to have you around. He hurriedly interrupted her rage. Family? She blinked, surprised. Well, she did want a family, but she was a freaky monster, so it's likely not going to work. It's pointless. I'm a freak that can't join with others, she said, her head down. Ever since she awakened her quirk, she always desired blood, like a vampire. It was a beautiful elixir for her, its smell, taste, texture. Intoxicating and addicting. This was also partially the reason as to why she liked to smell iron. It had a similar calming scent. Trust me, they will love to have you around. They are a bunch of rejects too. Jiren smiled reassuringly. Ouch. She knew that she was a reject, but hearing it stings. For now, take this and think about my offer, okay? He gave her a card with an address. She took the card, face pensive. Well, she could use the 8 million yen. Plus, a family will be nice. The absence of a normal life left a hole in her heart that can only be filled with someone compassionate enough to see her true self and love her. However, no such a person existed, and she believed that he wouldn't exist. She returned to her room, opening the TV to watch as the second event of the sports festival ending with an excited, cheerful crowd. How nice. She stared at the families in the stadium, jealous. She wished that she can swap places with any of them, if only for just a day, to experience what it's like to be normal. She hugged her legs, huddled on the bed and covered by a blanket. The screen flickered in the dark room as it cast a sad side of the worn-out condition of the building. Maybe she really needed the 8 million yen. After the end of the second event, Izuku congratulated his team and left to rest. Destination? the boys' locker room, towards his phone. He was curious, did anyone search for his social media accounts? If his calculations are correct, then they should be around 8,000 followers. After all, he represented the whole school in his speech, he must have left an impression. Opening the locker, Izuku opened his phone and froze in shock at the sight. He had severely underestimated the amount of viewers who were watching him. 1.5 million followers on Herogram, 2.1 million on his Bluebird account, and many hundreds of thousands in his other accounts. Asterisk. Shit, I need a public manager, I can't do this alone, he muttered, realizing the gravity of the situation. He has grown too big too fast. Oh, would you look at that, advertisers are already trying to use his fame to make him promote their products. His DMs were full of tens of thousands of messages. His email account never stopped sending notifications to him about new messages, and even his followed accounts are receiving a massive amount of followers. He sighed, tired already. Yet, he wasn't going to let this pass by without capitalizing on it. He'll use the fame to subtly advertise some products to gain some capital, use the platforms to influence the masses about heroism. This is a blessing. Still, let's check the comments section of his Herogram posts. I love _corn, big fan. Love the speech. Defiantly _not _50, you single? Asking for a friend. Professional _female _yapper, Lord knows I'd smash. Green _hat, check out the DMs, me and my wife would love to meet you, winky face. I chew _on _grass, what will be your hero name? Jim _rat69, damn bro, you got gains. Share your training routine with us. MILF _hunter, boy, you look fine, got me interested in the spawn point, is yo mama available? Asterisk. This is a curse. Izuku decided that he has had enough internet for today, he also decided to buy bleach later to bleach his eyes. As expected, he needed a social media manager. Preferably a girl with a thick personality. Yes, personality. That's what matters most about a woman. Agreed. Having a thick personality is very important for a woman. Banjo nodded sagely. Second that. Preferably a giant lower personality? Hikage nodded approvingly. For me, I prefer a giant upper personality, but you do you. And added wisely. Seeing all the men being degenerates, Nana Shimura felt like she wanted to go to the afterlife now. Worst part? She could understand everything they were saying. From references to code words. Why? It was because of the knowledge she gained from Shishido's memories, a cursed day. He had so much brain rot that she felt her IQ drop a few levels when she took his knowledge. It has to be said that knowledge is indeed a curse. The amount of porn she witnessed was unhealthy. She now knows things that she wished that she didn't. Ahem, a cough interrupted Izuku's musings with the past users. He slowly turned to look at the person who made it. Endeavor, standing at the door to the students' changing room. Izuku was pretty sure that it was illegal, but who cares? It doesn't matter how Endeavor got into UA backstage area, what mattered is what he wanted. Your Endeavor, the number 2 hero. Izuku greeted with a calm expression. I came here to request something. Is it about Shoto-kun? Yes. I want you to push him harder, just like before. I want you to make him use his full power, he said, beard flaring up. Oh. Why would I do that though? Because he has to be the best. He's the future number 1 hero and you're gonna help him. He walked into the room, approaching Izuku in a clearly threatening manner. I see. Well, I won't do it. What? Why would I? If I made him go all out, I'd lose the sports festival. Izuku raised his eyebrows at him. Are you suggesting that I lose to him? He added sarcastically. While some may be intimidated by Endeavor's demeanor, he knew the man well. This is a hopeless idiot who refuses to give up, always chasing his goal of being the number 1 hero, even at the expense of his Family. While Izuku could respect the dedication, he still can't accept the price. You can't burn a tree to save a cat that is stuck on it. This isn't how it works. What do you want? Name it and you'll have it. Endeavor spoke calmly and quietly. He wanted him to make Shoto use his full potential, regardless of the price. I don't know. Fighting him can already be tough, forcing him to go all out is even harder. Izuku rubbed his chin. With a thoughtful expression. Just name your price already. T'll give you a generous 3 million yen offer, how about it, he said with a smile. What? 3 million is generous, he asked, astonished. Think about it, you're asking me to make him go all out against me, the amount of physical and emotional trauma I'll have. To endure is a lot, it's a compensation, he explained, shaking his head. He was going to milk this opportunity dry. While he was already intending on beating the shit out of Shoto, having money after doing it is much better. Surely, the number 2 hero of all of Japan can handle a measly 3 million yen, am I right? He spoke carelessly, as if what he is ordering is nothing major. Fine. But you'd better deliver on your words. Endeavor agreed begrudgingly. It can't be helped, if 3 million yen could make his son become the number 1 hero like he was destined to be, then he was willing to spend it. Plus, it was true, he as the second hero of Japan is wealthy. 3 million is less than a weekly payment. Don't worry, I'll do my best. Now, will that be cash or card? He smiled warmly. Endeavor didn't know why, but he felt like he was getting scammed somehow. Card. I'll have my sidekicks wire it to you in a bit. Here's my address, I'll be waiting. He turned away, walking to the exit. Oh. One last thing. What? Have you heard of M.T.Tai? What? No, I haven't. Endeavor blinked in confusion. It's a mountain that can't be climbed, no matter what a person tries. It's impossible. So? Why are you telling me this? He frowned, confused. Chapter 27, Control breeds obedience, not loyalty. Oh, you're here earlier than I expected, Ciro greeted and entered the changing room. Yeah, I was checking something on my phone, Izuku answered with a playful smile. What? Got girls? Ciro rolled his eyes. Like he'd need more of what he has. The saying that goes the rich get richer can also be applied to handsome guys. The ones with girls get girls easily. They say don't blame the players, blame the game. While it wasn't fair that some are blessed more than others, it was life. While some people were born with a powerful quirk, he was born with a tape. And the funny part? He considered himself lucky to be the tape guy. He once saw a guy with triangular shaped head. How can you even wear a shirt with that shape? Oof. Over 1 million followers, Izuku smiled and dangled his phone mischievously. Carrot. No way. You're kidding, right? See for yourself. Ciro took the phone, staring at the numbers in shock. Damn. You haven't debuted yet and you're already famous. Still, what's with the comments section? Binge__reader 69, ass or tits? Yo_mama, thoughts regarding September 11th, 20017 *. Definitely _18, check your DMs, left you a surprise *. Freaky _grandma, boy, come near Hokkaido, I got candy for you. Alright enough, don't read those, he snatched his phone back, an embarrassed flush on his face. It can't be helped. Although he had a huge amount of followers, most of them were girls. Weird ones. The internet was a mistake. Somehow I feel bad for you. Mind your business. Alright, make sure to not post anything regretful, Ciro warned playfully. Yeah, it's dangerous now. Too many people are watching me. Izuku's expression was complicated. He was watched now, everyone was watching him. If before, he could watch anything he wanted using his phone, he now felt insecure. The search history is in danger, He must buy a new phone and make new accounts, download a VPN as well. And the group chat. Everything must be purged. Why didn't I think of it yesterday? I knew this was going to happen. Rip, bozo, Banjo snickered. Shut up. You need a public manager. Ciro suggested. Yeah. I need someone to help me with this. Just take a look at the business class, you'll find someone who is interested in helping you. Yeah, I'll see to it. It'll cost me though. If they found you worth it, they could invest in you, you know. It's better to pay them, that way they can't do anything without my approval. Being a boss is better than being a partner. Ciro was caught off guard by his words. Who? Didn't expect this side of you. Ha, I'm not an idiot, Ciro, Izuku chuckled. Why would anyone let anyone on their business? If you don't need to share what you're doing, don't. The more people know about your life, the more they can and will interfere. It's a legitimate thing he learned the hard way, a life advice everyone should live by. Multiple figures approached the door, entering with a carefree attitude while chatting happily. Oh hey, Midoriya. You rocked it out there, Kirishima greeted warmly. You left fast, at least let us group up first, Shinszo sighed. My bad, I was in a hurry. But still, you won by a landslide. You're amazing, Shinszo praised earnestly. Thanks. Your performance wasn't half bad, controlling your enemies and using them as your shield is a genius action. Izuku praised back. This was his nature, he always reciprocated the actions of others. Negative or positive. Thanks bro, also, remind me not to get on Momo's bad side, Shinszo shuddered in fear. Izuku chuckled. It can't be helped, that girl can make anything. Including a pepper spray bullet which sounded terrifying. Honestly, he didn't wish to get on her bad side neither. Izuku was smart enough to not fuck around with a walking weapon factory. In the girls' changing room, Momo sneezed. You okay? Ashido asked. Yeah, it felt like someone was talking about me. Girls, hurry up. Recovery girl is calling for inspection, Jiro announced. K-X5. In the boys' changing room, Izuku's conversation with Aoyama was interrupted. Guys. Recovery girl is asking for all the students to attend a mandatory test before the last event, Lita interrupted their chat, urging them to head to the nursery. The boys nodded, changing faster. Shit. She's going to kill me. You're cooked, cooked. Banjo mocked with glee. Shouldn't have sent all them kids into the stratosphere, and sighed, shaking his head. The hell am I supposed to do? Let them gang up on me? Try to dodge, idiot, Nana rolled her eyes. I ain't dodging shit. They should dodge me. There he goes again. Hikage murmured, face-palming himself. I'm the danger, bitch. Pride breeds arrogance, arrogance will breed your downfall, don't underestimate anyone, Bruce warned earnestly. You're right, I shouldn't underestimate those kids, next time we fight I'll put them in a coma, Izuku nodded in agreement. What? No, that's not what I meant. Too late, the decision has been made. God fucking damn it dash. Izuku chuckled and cut the sound contact with the vestiges, leaving the visual contact active. Defense 3, an ability that gave him an unimaginable control over his own mind, protecting it from the in and out. He can directly expel the vestiges if he wished to, permanently killing them off. But Izuku liked having them around him, he liked them to a degree, even though they were dead. 9 minds are better than 1. The accumulated knowledge and experience is a plus. He walked with his classmates, having small talk with them. So what will you do after this whole festival? Kirishima asked, curious. He wanted to have a boys' night out, the ultimate bromance. Dunno. I'll decide based on the rewards. Depending on the rewards the system offered him, the following couple of weeks could get busy. What rewards? It's nothing, Don't worry about it. Izuku smiled. Besides me, what's with Kaminari? He added, raising an eyebrow. Oh! It's nothing. Kaminari muttered, slumped. A chick with green vine-like hair managed to beat his ass. He didn't qualify for the third event. Bakugo spoke with a grin. You said you'd never tell anyone. People change. Bakugo looked at Izuku with an earnest expression. Izuku rolled his eyes. Sorry for your loss, Kaminari. Izuku put one hand on his shoulder and offered his condolences. How many left? Zero asked. 13. 7 from our class got eliminated on the second event, Kaminari sighed. Aoyama sighed too. It can't be helped. Him, Kaminari, Ajui, Ashido, Ojiro, Koda and Hagakure. Good enough. It's not about remaining to the last event, it's about showing the heroes what you got. Izuku spoke with an encouraging smile. You've done well, be proud. He patted his back with a laugh. Thanks. You're right, I did my best. Kaminari smiled, feeling better. The boys reached the nursery, chatting energetically. All but two, Shoto and Bakugo. Shoto was still weary of Izuku. Bakugo on the other hand was thoughtful. One feared Izuku Midoriya, the other felt regret about his actions from the past, while Shoto tried to create some distance. Between him and Izuku, Bakugo tried to close the distance between him and Izuku. Hagakure-san, sorry for knocking you out, Izuku apologized, rubbing the back of his neck. Don't worry about it, it's just a game. She waved her hands hurriedly. She felt ashamed. She attacked him first and now he is apologizing, geez. Your strategy was impressive though. You think? She asked, feeling giddy from the praise. Yeah, it gave me some trouble. But did I have a chance? Would I have won? Nah, I'd win. Hagakure slumped with a depressed expression. Izuku opened the curtain, entering the nurse's office. Oh hey, recovery girl. You called for dash. He directly dodged a flying slipper moving at high speed towards him. Brat, she spat with rage, fuming. Behind her were beds full of students, all injured. Some were awake, most were unconscious. My bad. I was cornered and didn't control myself. Izuku smiled, unrepentant. Why should he apologize? They tried to beat him up by ganging up on him. He felt like he gave them a taste of their own medicine. Sprains, fractured ribs, bruises, broken fingers, concussions and much more than that. I'm a nurse, not a miracle healer. But you are though. Izuku discreetly thought. There's hardly anything that this woman can't heal, her quirk is too powerful. However, Izuku was certain that a better healer existed out there, hiding with the 1% of the rich population. Their personal doctor. Powerful enough to regenerate anything. Such figures are not publicly available though. It won't happen again, promise. He drew an X over his heart using his index finger. Somehow, Recovery Girl felt like he was lying. It's honestly that rat's fault, not you. The heck are they doing mixing kids up for a group fight? This isn't a coliseum. She murmured. What's that? It's nothing. Do this again and I'm never healing you anymore, you hear me? She struck his head with her cane. It shattered upon impact. 20 times. I'm not paying for that. Get out! The students watched as he quickly ran out of the room, a bunch of candy bars flying after him, connected by a long black tendril. 19 times. Outside a fairly simple but cheap apartment, a man was hanging by the railings carelessly and fearlessly. Oh, I care to get down here? Jiren loudly called the figure hanging by the railings. Atsuhiro Seiko descended down, curiosity visible on his face. It's been a long time since someone noticed his existence. What do you want, shady purple guy? Who the hell are you calling shady, you knockoff performer? The hell? I'm a great performer. Seiko retorted, offended. Then why does no one know about you? I haven't hit a home run on my shows, Someday people will understand my greatness. Whatever, man. Here, see this. Jiren threw him a card. Seiko caught it, inspecting it with his full attention. Leagues of Villains, he muttered, surprised. They can help you pull out a good performance. I'll also pay you 2 million yen if you join. Seiko thought deeply, rubbing his chin. While the 2 millions were a nice bonus, he was more interested in using the league to boost his performance. The ultimate show, that was his goal in life. He wanted to die like a firecracker. To light up the night, like a passing comet. He, the great-great-grandson of the esteemed Harima. The Bandit King's blood flows through him, filling him with the need for speed. He wanted to show the world that he was here. I'm in, he replied with an excited grin. Welcome aboard. What should we call you? Call me Mr. Compress. Corny. Shut up. Off to the preliminaries. Opening up with a surprise from the girls of the general education course. Present Mike announced to the crowd. Izuku was sitting down with his classmates on the stadium stands, having a full view of the entire field. Multiple girls wearing cheering outfits walked forward, waving their hands and cheering cutely. It seems that the general education class is cursed by the existence of Mineta. Huh? This wasn't scripted. Present Mike stared, scratching his head quizzically. Shouldn't it be a bunch of students showing off their hero costumes? Huh? Wasn't it what they wanted? A girl with a long pink hair asked, confused. The other girls nodded, confused too. Their classmate, Mineta, has told them about an event that they were asked to do by TH. The girls paused, robotically turning to the direction of Mineta. He stood there behind a wall, breathing heavily with a lewd-deprived expression on his face, a camera filming everything. This will go to my collection. He smiled maniacally, drooling uncontrollably. Get him. Yes, President, X7. The girls returned hurriedly, embarrassed and furious. They proceeded to beat the shit out of him, leaving him sprawling on the floor. Oh my god, that guy is scum. Uraraka spoke angrily, feeling indignant about the way he treated his female classmates. Such a disrespectful person. Tell me about it. Izuku shook his head helplessly. Luckily, Mineta was not his problem anymore. He felt bad for the general education course, but he was also grateful that they took him in. Thank you for your sacrifice. He bowed in gratitude. In an old underground lab, a tall figure wearing a suit walked calmly through the narrow alley. All for one, known by many names, a powerful man that considered himself a normal person. He helped others with their quirks, removing and giving it to people that want it. The redistribution of resources is the key to the kingdom of God. Not that he believes in God. If God was real, he wouldn't have given birth to him. As powerful as he was, he is currently heavily injured. He has a copy of regeneration that he gives to multiple nomas, but he won't use it. The problem with this quirk is that it consumed his life to heal him. A full-body regeneration could cost him 10 to 17 years. Out of his lifespan. He could ask his friend to fix his body in a hyperbolic healing chamber, but he doesn't trust him. Or anyone in that matter. Speaking of his old friend. Doctor. It has been a while. How have you been, old friend? He greeted with a fake smile. The figure in a lab coat turned to him, a surprised expression on his face. AFO rarely visited him. This figure was, of course, Uraraka, a renowned doctor with medical knowledge that he built over the span of his lifetime that exceeded 120 years. He, who was born with the Quirk life force, could live twice as long as a normal human being. Currently his quirk resides inside AFO, and he has a copy of his original quirk. A copy that AFO can take at any moment, killing him with ease. However, his quirk wasn't stolen. He willingly gave it away to have the funding and support of AFO's vast resources. No one understood his dreams, to have a world where death is a suggestion. A world where eternal life can be achieved. All looked down on him, refusing him, calling his research immoral and inhumane. All great discoveries of the human body took many corpses. How else would people know about basic human limits? Kyudai believed that he wasn't a bad person, he only experimented using dead corpses that he turned into his test subjects. All in the hopes of achieving immortality. With the help of the Demon King, anything is possible. Kyudai is a fairly old man of a portly and short stature. He is completely bald and has a very large and bushy mustache. He wears a rather peculiar set of goggles that are shaped somewhat like gears, along with a white, buttoned-up lab coat. Master. It's a rare sight seeing you, Kyudai said with a smile, staring at the figure. AFO. The symbol of evil. He stood before him, a floating breather besides him, breathing air for him. He was old, sick, and dying. He refused treatment and never allowed anyone to touch his body, refusing to have it modified. Why? Don't you like for me to visit you? He smiled and spread his hands. Not at all, it's always a joy seeing an old friend of mine, Kyudai smiled, eyes closed. Ha ha. Walk with me, old friend, we have much to talk about. The two figures walked into the dark tunnels of the lab, a sinister aura enveloping them. Chapter 28 Conflict. On to the last event, spin the wheel. The wheel on the screen began to spin after Midnight finished her words, it landed. On the event that Izuku has been expecting. Battle Tournament. The combatants are expected to fight until one side yields. No time limits, standard rules apply, she finished, whipping the floor. Standard rules, as in don't aim for sensitive areas in the body. Now, you have 10 minutes to prepare, starting it off with Mezu Shoji vs Fumikage Tokoimi, asterisk. Standing up, the two looked at each other, nodding with determination. Good luck you two, Izuku said with a neutral smile. He won't take a side. Why would he? They are both his friends. When confronted with a situation where you have to choose between your friends, choose the neutral route and stay on the sidelines until the issue resolved itself. And if the issue refused to resolve itself? Play the victim until both sides reconcile. Shishida, who was an army cadet in his past life, knew a lot about mental tactics. As a former soldier, his mentality differs from the common people. If you have an enemy, eliminate it, as simple as that. He and his friends used to always ask this question. If you had to choose between your family or your country, which will it be? Personally, Shishida always answered that he would choose the former. A hero may choose his country and save everyone by sacrificing his family and his happiness. But, Shishida isn't a hero. He's a selfish man who wants everything to go his way, regardless of how hard it is. And if the world refused? Then the world can go fuck itself. If he wasn't sent to heaven after his death, then he'll create his own heaven on here. And while he is doing that, he'll make sure that his enemies experience hell. While he did want to eliminate Shigaraki Tamura and sleep with ease at night, he knew that All for One will most likely turn Shigaraki's corpse into a Nomu capable of destroying everything. A mindless Nomu is much worse than Shigaraki, who has the capacity to disobey All for One. So, to resolve Shigaraki, one must deal with All for One. Currently, he can't because the man is hiding like a rat somewhere. He also needed Shigaraki's brutal power to destroy the Army of Liberation, the same army willing to destroy the world in order to rebuild it to their vision. A world without conflict is impossible. Those people are delusional. While he didn't kill people in his past life, he was trained to kill. He has good knowledge on boxing, a bit of guns training, and a bit about knife wielding. If he wished to, Shishida could directly leave U.A. in order to search for the League of Villains and kill all its members. But then again, why would he? So far, the League of Villains haven't become an issue he can't solve. Plus, he has a member in them that he wants to use, Himiko Toga. Her quirk is one of the most powerful quirks in the world. After it awakens, he has plans for her. Let them form, all he needs is to convince Shigaraki Tamura to become his ally. But how? How will he convince this man-child that he was on his side? How? How will he tell him his origin? Of his master? Of his doomed future? He needed to talk with him, but he hid deeply in the middle of nowhere. He needed a simple long conversation with him to fix everything. He just needed to talk with him. Midoriya-san, are you okay? You've been frowning for a while now. Lita patted his shoulder, frowning in worry. Just now, Izuku has shown a troubled expression. Oh! Izuku looked around him. The students were looking at him in worry. It's nothing, I'm just conflicted because I don't know who to cheer. They are both my friends, he said with a fake smile. Tell me about it. Last event they made us form teams and now I could be fighting those same teammates. How dirty. Kirishima shook his head in annoyance. Personally, I'd beat the shit out of you, Bakugo taunted with a challenging grin. Bring it on! I'll fight you tooth and nail. Kirishima struck his hands together, sparks forming between his fists. The two slammed their foreheads together, glaring with excitement at each other. Idiots, Sue shook her head at the muscle brains. Ha! It's not manly to be stupid, I'm a smart boy. I thought you're manly. Jiro stared at Kirishima. Asterisk. I'm a smart man, asterisk. Yeah, it's troubling, Izuku looked at Lita. By the way, I thought we agreed that you'd call me Izuku from now on? It's a habit, I'll make sure to call you by your first name from now on, Lita said, rubbing his ear with an embarrassed blush. Why did Izuku Midoriya wish to get so close to everyone else? It's almost like he's trying to be the best friend of everyone. However, as nice as it sounded, if you become the best friend to everyone, that means you're a friend to none. In life, one must choose. Well, that's what his older brother taught him. Speaking of his older brother, Lita wondered if he is watching him right now. Asterisk hero killer, Stain. Ingenium, standing in a dark alleyway, behind him an injured hero, barked with righteous spite. You! Stain pointed at him with his blade that was coated with blood. He frowned, trying to remember his name. Ingenium, he smiled wickedly. He remembered him. It's the hero that constantly does interviews, roaming the streets like a celebrity. Constantly garnering attention for the public eye, instead of doing his duty. You're no hero. He walked to him, eyes turning cold. Ingenium, run, the hero that was crippled on the ground warned with visible fear. He didn't wish to be the reason of someone's death. After his own father died trying to save him and his classmates, he vowed to repay the debt by saving everyone he can. As a hero, like All Might. However, he never expected that one day he'd face someone like the hero killer, Stain. His leg was as good as gone, he can't assist or escape, he's a dead weight. He gripped his leg, begging for Ingenium to flee. No. As a hero, how can I let my comrades die? Ingenium walked forward bravely, fearlessly facing his foe. Then come fight me, Mr. Fake Hero. Stain licked his blood-stained sword. The two walked towards each other, bravely fighting for their own ideals. In this world and in every world, people are fighting. In one way or another. Reason? Because people have visions, ideals that they wish to convey. And those visions change from one person to another. Difference leads to conflict. Alas, as long as there was life, there will be conflict. It's no one's fault, it's simply how the world works. As expected. Izuku murmured to himself, watching as Tokoemi extended his hand to Shoji after he defeated him. It took no less than 7 minutes for Tokoemi to win. While Shoji was incredibly strong, he wasn't strong or fast enough as Dark Shadow. Plus, he had to fight Tokoemi. Plus, after teaching him to fly, Tokoemi became a bit of a problem for most contestants. Not that Izuku cared, he was here simply to make everyone stronger. Amazing performance by Tokoemi Fumikage. Midnight announced with an approving smile. She liked the show of sportsmanship between the two. Next, Izuku Midoriya vs. Mei Hatsume. Izuku's eyes dulled with annoyance. That idiot will try to sell her equipment using him for sure. Maybe he can use that to his advantage. Well, I'll head out. Izuku stood up, going to take a small sip of water before the shit show begins. Good luck. Yeah, I got it. He waved his hand dismissively, a small smile on his face. He liked how much his classmates cheered for each other. They're good people. Most young people are. It is the old people that are destroying the world. Students in Class 1A are very supportive of each other. They were raised well. He walked through the corridor, surprised by a figure heading the opposite direction. Endeavor? What are you doing here? He asked, tilting his head. What is Endeavor doing near the changing room of his classroom? Remember our deal, boy. You bring out his maximum potential and you'll get your money, he reminded, passing by with an irritated face. Somehow, Izuku felt like not doing what he wanted, just to fuck with him. Alas, groceries are expensive and the money is nice, he'll endure it until then. 3 million, that's almost $20,000. While it's not that much for someone from the United States, it is extremely helpful for someone from Japan. That's enough rent for almost 2 years. He entered the room, surprised to see the figure of Shoto. Ah. I see. This explained everything. Endeavor was trying to lecture Shoto, who in turn refused him, so he stormed out, enraged. What an asshole. Somehow, Izuku felt that he was lucky that he didn't have a father in his life. Almost. Under the rain, aren't we? Izuku joked, trying to lighten the mood with a smile. What do you want? Came to gloat? Shoto replied with venom. Asterisk. Easy there, I'm not your enemy. Izuku raised his arms and walked forward with an easygoing attitude. Stay back. Shoto warned, visibly tense. Shit. He's scared of your goofy ass, Banjo face-palmed. I knew it, intimidating your classmates is stupid. Nana poked his forehead, fingers passing through his head. Patience is a virtue. What? Are you scared of me? Izuku snickered lightly. No. I'm not. Then relax. Izuku sat down with a smile. Can I ask you something? Sure, I'd love to talk with you. Are you All Might's secret love child? Ptah. Izuku cut the connection immediately. What makes you think so? He asked with a smile, a vein popping on his forehead. It's obvious. You have the same speed as him, you're almost as strong as him too, plus, he always calls for you specifically. Great argument. In fact, if Izuku didn't know more, then he'd suspect if he was actually his son. So, are you his secret love child? Too soon. What? What? The two stared at each other for a couple of seconds. What's that supposed to mean? Shoto asked, confused. Are you or are you not? He asked again, angry. I kinda am? It's complicated. All you need to know is that I have a quirk like his. Did he train you? Yeah. I see. So it was like this. It was a battle between the number 1 and the number 2 that got passed on to them. But he was nicer than your father. Izuku smiled warmly at the fond memories. Did you talk with him? You mean Endeavor? Yeah. So that's the reason you're trying to make me use my fire so much. He spoke, his tone getting icy. Well, partially. I mainly want you to go all out. What? Explain. He paid me a hefty sum to beat you up dash. And you took it? Duh. I ain't an idiot. It's free money. Shoto stared at him for a couple of seconds. He did not expect him to be so shameless. And your other reason? I simply want you to get stronger. Why? Why do you care? Don't you think that I defeat you if I go all out? No. No, you can't. You could. But I don't care about that. I don't want to be near someone who doesn't give it his all, I'm strong, I don't need my father's power. Like I said, wasn't it your quirk? Weren't you born with it? You should give it your all. You don't know what I had to go through because of this quirk. Because of him. I have a general idea, yeah. Yet you still want me to use it? Knowing what I had to go through because of it? Look at my face. Shoto pointed at his face using his hands. He did this. He ruined my life. My mother, my. He stopped himself from mentioning him. Toya. I'm sorry, Izuku stayed silent for a couple of seconds. However, you must realize this, it is okay for you to be a hero. What? He asked, his tone breaking. He remembered how his mother told him the same thing before. Your mother and father probably shouldn't have married, but they did, and now you're here. He pointed at his heart, poking him. Remember what you're fighting for. If a villain attacked your siblings, will you hold back? I won't. That's right. Then why should you ever hold back for other people? Are you not a hero? He slapped him, making him fall to the ground from the impact. Shoto fell to the ground, disbelief coloring his face. The audacity. You're a fighter, not a winner. Shoto touched his face, visibly shocked as he stared at his angry gaze. He has never seen him this angry before. Even when he was fighting the villains at USJ. Why? Why did he care so much? Why do you care? It has been less than 2 months since we have met. Because I see myself in you and it pisses me off. Get a hold of yourself and man the fuck up. Izuku extended his hand to him. Shoto stared at his hand for a while, conflicted. It seems like he didn't know much about Izuku Midoriya, he had his hardships as well. Taking his hand, Shoto stood up slowly. Till make you pay for this, Shoto said with an angry smile. Heh. Go all out then, Izuku smiled back, eyeing him with a pleased gaze. This is how brutes communicated. Fight your words into him. After all, fists don't lie. If it worked with the original Deku, why wouldn't it work for him? When you exchange fists with someone, your true self is revealed to them, slowly. I will. You'll regret encouraging me. That's more like it. Izuku heard a beeper from the monitor, reminding him of his match. I have to go. You better not lose. Heh. You wish. Izuku got out of the room, walking steadily into the stadium. The cheering intensified upon his arrival, reaching a deafening noise. Black tendrils coated Izuku's ears, blocking the noise. He stood before her, the best inventor in this day and age, Hatsume. She had a worried expression, likely thinking that he'd eliminate her directly when the match starts. While Izuku wanted to do this, he also wanted to carry favor with this genius. Match start. Midnight slammed her whip. Wait! May directly extended her hands, begging him to not move. What? I'll leave on my own, but please let me show off my babies first. Izuku took a deep breath. The crowd stared in silence, shocked by what they heard. Babies? You mean your machines? Huh. Yeah, what else did you think I meant? Nothing. But why should I help you? I'll make a baby for you. The murmurs increased in volume. Izuku and her. Uraraka's face showed a complicated expression. He has kids? Mirko blinked. What? I have grandchildren? Inko stared in shock. Explain yourself, Midoriya. President Mike angrily announced. Please, for the love of God, stop using that word. How scandalous. My reputation. What's wrong with calling them my babies? They're my beautiful babies, I give up. I'll let you show your babies if you work with me. Ha! For you? But you're a broke student with no funding. In the future. Why would I do that? Unlimited funding with a personal lab full of professional assistants. Deal! I'll make millions of babies together with you. She said, holding his hand with an excited happy expression. Stop! Chapter 29, Give Your Obs PTSD. Watching as she showcased her babies, Izuku stood there with a dull expression. What can he say? It is what it is. While she did agree to work for him in the future, she still needs funding and work right now. What kind of match is this? A man murmured to his friend. This is advertising. The reason as to why May Hatsume joined the sports festival to begin with. Her inventions are quite good though, they need a bit of work though, his friend replied. They were from a company, while they did like what they were seeing, they didn't expect to work on their day off. The heroes looked at each other, troubled. Well. Let her have it, Wash said, scratching his plastic surface. Whatever, I'll just stare at the green kid's face, he's pissed and it's funny, Ninja murmured with a smirk. Still, no one expected that her babies are a hunk of machines. Most reporters were disappointed, that would have been newsworthy. Those who knew Izuku though, they were relieved. A teenage parent is troublesome. Uraraka, you seem relieved? Ashido said with a teasing smile. I'm not. Girl, admit it, you have a crush on him. Wadash. Izuku Midoriya wins. Midnight announced after May walked off the ring. She has finished her advertising bit, she turned to Izuku and gave him a grateful smile. This man will be the future father of her babies. Her benefactor. Goodbye, Daddy Dash, she said with a happy smile, carrying her babies away. Patience is a virtue. Izuku walked off with a dull expression, ignoring the murmuring crowd after she called him daddy. Next, Shoto Todoroki vs. Hatsume. Midnight announced loudly. Shit. Ciro's eyes constricted with horror. He robotically turned to Shoto. Shoto gave him a thumbs up, followed by a nod. Somehow, Ciro felt like Shoto became calmer. He seemed much more approachable. Let's do our best, he greeted with a smile, awkwardly. Yeah, Shoto nodded calmly. Did something happen to this guy? He seemed super angry 20 minutes ago. In an underground lab, AFO and Kyudai Garaki walked slowly, multiple pads filled with corpses of future Nomas on there. Wait. So, I need 3 good ones, can you manage? AFO muttered, hands touching the glass chamber to see inside of it. While AFO has no eyes, his vision is better than most of the people in this world, simply because of all the ocular quirks that he stole. 3 you say? I have more than 3, but they're not ready to follow orders, their brains are not developed enough. Garaki shook his head in disappointment. Useless hunks of meat. Luckily, he had Shigaraki Tamura who brings him corpses on a regular basis, good lad. Garaki saw Tamura as his grandson, he, the future vessel of his master, must be protected at all costs. 3 are enough. I don't want them to go loose and threaten me because I can't control them yet, AFO nodded with a smile. It has to be said, Garaki's Nomas were simply too dangerous. Even he, the symbol of fear, couldn't guarantee that he can win against a horde of high-end Nomas. They were the perfect weapon, but still, they were a weapon. Ones that are not ready to be controlled by him, yet. But I must ask, why do you want them now? I didn't see you as the impatient type, old friend, Garaki raised an eyebrow at his request. AFO, who has been with him for more than 100 years, is not an impatient man, this is too illogical. This is a wise man, as evil as he was. He's getting stronger, the successor of One for All. I need to get the quirk of my brother soon or it'll be my undoing, he grimaced. But, for more than 100 years, they failed to match you, why fear the 9th? I do not fear him, he exhaled, calming down. I'm simply preparing to face a potential All Might. Garaki stood silent for a while, watching his old friend. It has to be said, All Might has left a deep psychological trauma on his friend. It has been more than 6 years and he still has nightmares about that day. That day, he remembered what his friend said to him as he was on the brink of death after returning from that battle. An injured hero is terrifying. Indeed, All Might was terrifying, the most terrifying entity on this planet. But, as terrifying as All Might was, Garaki was confident that he can take him down. All Might nearly had me, that bastard. Now, imagine what the next one will do to me. AFO clenched his teeth with visible veins protruding from his neck. The 8th was the first person that managed to almost kill him, now that the 9th is coming. He must be stopped before he is given a room to grow. The worst part? He has some of the quirks of the past users, if not all of them. What a green little monster, Garaki mused with a chuckle. AFO turned back, glaring at him. Apologies, I'll see to the Nomus matter. Star. Good, he nodded. AFO walked out of the lab, taking wide strides, beside him a floating breathing device. Stress. He felt stressed. As if there was a looming bad omen approaching him. Time to reap some quirks. The stadium roared as Hatsume and Shoto Todoroki faced each other in the center of the arena. Zero stretched his arms, shaking them loose. So, just checking you don't plan on flash freezing me in an instant. Right? Todoroki blinked. Not unless you let me, he smirked. While at first, he wanted to freeze him directly, now however, he wanted to give Zero some room to show off his quirk. Wow. So generous. Zero grinned, cracking his knuckles. Guess I better make this interesting. Ready. President Mike exclaimed, slowly waiting for the countdown to reach 0. Izuku was sitting near Lita, calmly watching the fight. Ammunition. Izuku extended his hand, his eyes glued on the two figures below. Roger that, Lita gave him a bucket of popcorn. The countdown hit 0. Go! Zero moved first. His elbow shot back, and a burst of tape launched him forward like a bullet. He whipped around Todoroki, rebounding off an ice wall the moment it formed beneath him. Twisting midair, he fired a web of tape in multiple directions, some toward Todoroki, others toward the environment. Todoroki sidestepped, ice creeping outward, but Zero zipped above it, kicking off one of his own tape lines. He shot another strand to the ground, yanking himself into a rapid spin as he swung. This fight is so unfair. Zero called as he wrapped his tape around Todoroki's arm, yanking. Stop whining and fight back. Todoroki slid forward but kept his balance. With a sharp motion, he sent a jagged ice shard toward the tape, slicing it apart. Zero clicked his tongue. Man, I just made that. Todoroki exhaled, watching as Zero flipped backward, never stopping his movement. His agility was impressive, too fast to corner immediately. But Todoroki wasn't here to end things quickly, he talked with Izuku before coming here. I want you to give him some pointers, don't end the fight directly. Help him get some nominations, Izuku said to him. What if I don't? Then I'd beat the shit out of you. I'm not scared of you. Till accidentally kick your nuts. As expected, he can't just do as he pleases. Plus, he'll get Izuku when it was his turn to fight him. Hopefully. You can do better, Todoroki called out. Zero blinked. Are you coaching me right now? I want to see your full power. Alright, fine, but you asked for it. Zero fired twin tape lines at the walls, pulling back and launching himself forward like a human slingshot. At the last second, he shot a third line downward, shifting angles midair to avoid another ice wave. Todoroki sent another sharp ice crest forward, but Zero swung under it, wrapping a fresh tape line around Todoroki's ankle. Gotcha dash. Or so he thought. Todoroki stomped the ground, sending a burst of ice up his own leg, freezing Zero's tape solid. Then, with a flick of his wrist, he shattered it. Zero barely had time to react before a second wave of ice surged upward. He twisted, firing tape to escape, but a third, even faster ice pillar shot up, catching his foot midair. "Oh, come on!" Shiro yelped as his momentum stopped cold. He tried one last desperate swing, but Todoroki raised his left foot. Flames flickered, then he hesitated. He didn't need them. A final wave of ice encased Shiro's arms and legs. Match over. Todoroki wins. Shiro let out a dramatic sigh. "Man, I thought I had you." Todoroki walked over, offering a small nod. "You almost did. You're strong." He started thawing out the ice using his fire. Sighed. Shiro smirked. "Damn right I am. Next time, I'm bringing a gun." "Please don't bring a gun to a fistfight." "I was joking." "Joking." "Aw. Okay." Izuku nodded, satisfied with the results of the fight. As expected, his pep talk with Shoto worked wonders. Violence is truly the answer. It's a great tool for negotiation too. "Izuku? You seem happy." Uraraka murmured near him, eyeing him with curiosity. Izuku smirked slightly, eyes locking onto Uraraka's with a mix of playfulness and confidence. "You know, Uraraka, gravity might be your quirk, but every time you smile, I swear I'm the one floating." She blinked, caught off guard by his comment. A small blush creeped up from her neck to her face, growing bigger until she turned bright red. Uraraka's eyes widened as her brain short-circuits for a moment. Her cheeks turned bright red, and she stumbled over her words. "W-a-dash? I meanty that's not why you-a-dash." She covers her face with her hands, steam practically rising from her head as she squeaks out, "Izuku. That's not fair." "Ha ha. I'm teasing you, silly girl." "You bully! You stinking bully!" She slapped his head with a flustered demeanor. "Calm down." Izuku caught her hands, looking into her eyes. Uraraka instantly realized how close she was to his face. Her receding blush returned with full force as she pushed back. With a red, rosy blush, she hid behind Lita's large frame, hiding herself from Izuku's playful gaze. "Uraraka-san? What's wrong?" Lita raised an eyebrow. "And nothing. I just wanted to shield my eyes from the stadium lights, that's all." "Oh." Tita nodded absent-minded. Unexpectedly, Uraraka was loud. "Wait. Are you sick? Do you have a fever? You're red as a tomato." "Shut up." Izuku chuckled, watching as Shiro came back to his chair after the fight. "Well done, Shiro." Izuku patted his back with an encouraging smile. "Oh man. It was so unfair though. I lost," Shiro said with a helpless smile. Still, he was happy. It wasn't as bad as he expected. "The purpose is to show your abilities, not to win, right?" "Yeah. You're right. I'd have lost when it came to me and you, even if I somehow won against Shoto." Shiro chuckled sadly. Now he knows why his classmates trained so hard. They were trying to reach their level. "Ha ha ha. True that. At least try to deny it." "Nope." Izuku puffed out his chest with pride. Asterisk next, Bakugo Katsuki vs. Lita Tenya. Midnight announced. Bakugo grinned. Lita grimaced. "Shit." Lita cursed with a frown. "Language." Uraraka scolded him angrily, pinching his ear. "Sorry." Chapter 30 Strength isn't everything. The stadium pulsed with energy as the next match of the UA Sports Festival was announced. Next up, Katsuki Bakugo vs. Tenya Lita. Present Mick's voice boomed across the Coliseum, sending a wave of excitement through the spectators. Bakugo cracked his knuckles, his eyes locked onto Lita with a feral grin. He'd been waiting for a real fight. Lita, meanwhile, adjusted his glasses with a determined glint in his eyes. He hadn't used Recipro Burst yet, saving it for the right moment. Now, against Bakugo, he will need it. "Good luck you two," Izuku nodded with a neutral expression. "Won't need it." "Thank you, I'll do my best." Standing opposite of each other, the two focused on one another, zoning out the loud crowd of spectators. I won't lose, Lita cracked his joints, his engines roaring to life. Ready. Begin! Lita exploded forward, his engines roaring like a jet as he aimed to close the distance. Ha! Bakugo anticipated it, launching himself backward with an explosion to avoid the immediate rush. Just because you dodge doesn't mean that I'll miss, Lita pivoted sharply, twisting his body mid-dash and sending a powerful kick toward Bakugo's ribs. Uck! Bakugo blocked with a crossguard just in time, the impact rattling his bones. TCH, so you're actually not slow this time, huh? He growled. Lita didn't respond. He knew Bakugo loved trash talk, but this wasn't about ego, it was about winning. His chances are slim, he knew that. So, distractions are not allowed. He launched another kick, this time aimed at Bakugo's thigh, but the blonde countered, detonating an explosion between them and forcing distance. Bakugo took to the air, twisting mid-flight, his palm igniting with a concentrated blast. Howitzer dash. Like I'd allow you, Lita shot forward like a bullet, catching Bakugo before he could complete the move. This isn't some TV show, why should he allow him to finish his move? A brutal knee to the gut sent Bakugo hurtling across the arena, but he flipped midair, landing with a controlled skid. You really think that's enough to take me down? Bakugo snarled, wiping the blood from his mouth. Die already! He blasted forward, explosions propelling him in unpredictable zigzags. Lita calculated his movement, pivoting at the last second and delivering a powerful spinning back kick. Bakugo barely managed to block, but the force sent him stumbling. You're fast, but you can't keep up with me forever, Bakugo, Lita shouted, his voice carrying over the roars of the crowd. Bakugo's grin widened. Oh yeah? Then let's see how long you last. He raised both arms, sparks crackling violently. Explosions rained down, forcing Lita on the defensive. The sheer force shattered the ground, dust and debris flying in all directions. Lita dodged with incredible speed, but Bakugo was already adapting, leading his shots to cut off escape routes. Gotcha! Bakugo smiled like a feral ferret. A new meme was instantly born. Lita realized it too late. Bakugo had herded him toward the arena's edge. Damn it, dash! Bakugo lunged, aiming a direct explosion-enhanced punch for Lita's chest. This was it. Lita gritted his teeth. He had been saving this. Recipro burst. VRRRR0000OM. A sonic boom erupted as Lita vanished from sight, his full power unleashed. The sheer force of his acceleration ripped the ground apart, leaving a deep trench in his wake. Bakugo's eyes widened for a split second before crash. Lita slammed into him at full speed, dragging him across the stadium in a streak of blue fire. The impact sent Bakugo skidding across the floor, rolling violently until he came to a stop. The crowd went wild. Lita panted, steam rising from his armor. His engine sputtered. He had used too much power. He wouldn't get another chance. But Bakugo stood up, refusing to lose. His arms were trembling. His body ached. But he was still grinning. That all you got? He muttered, blood dripping from his lip. Getting dragged through the ground has battered him up. Izuku took his chance and snapped multiple pictures of him. It'll be useful for later when he talks shit. Lita's eyes widened. Impossible dash. Boom! Before he could react, Bakugo was already in front of him. The sheer ferocity of his explosion sent a shockwave through the air. Lita tried to move, but his engine stalled. I win. Bakugo's palm slammed into his chest, sending a final, devastating explosion at point-blank range. Lita was blasted backward, his body tumbling across the stage before slamming into the stadium wall. His vision blurred. He tried to push himself up, but his limbs wouldn't respond. Lita is unable to continue. The winner is Katsuki Bakugo. The stadium erupted in cheers. Bakugo stood tall, breathing heavily, his hands still smoking. He looked at Lita, who was barely conscious, and scoffed. Dumbass. You actually made me work for it. Lita let out a weak chuckle. You really don't hold back, do you? Bakugo grinned. Not against a real fighter, 4 eyes. As Recovery Girl rushed in to tend to Lita, Bakugo turned toward the crowd, raising his fist. His eyes were on Izuku, challenging him. Izuku scoffed, a small smile on his lips. Challenge me? Look at you, you can't even take down Lita without getting humbled. However, Izuku was happy that Bakugo's fighting spirit was as strong as ever. Izuku-chan, I'm next, Tsu croaked out, a small smile on her frog-like lips. Oh. Right. You're against Itsuka Kindo. Try to avoid her in direct combat. A hand-to-hand confrontation is hard because I heard that she knew martial arts. Thanks for the tip, but I don't think I can avoid a direct combat. After all, this is a fighting tournament. She shook her head. Use your tongue, silly. Izuku poked his tongue with his finger. Looking at his tongue, Tsuyu couldn't help but think that his tongue was somewhat lewd. Alright. I'll try my best. She walked away hurriedly, a small blush on her face. She didn't know why, but for the past couple of weeks, Izuku has been different. The best way she can explain his change is erotic. The guy became sexual for some reason. And it wasn't even frog mating season, so she wondered why she felt this way. Itsuka Kindo and Suyu Ajui stood across from each other on the battlefield. The announcer present mic hyped up the match. Karo. Suyu crouched low, her large, round eyes locking onto Kindo with a steady focus. You're strong, Kindo-chan, but I won't go down easily. Kindo smirked, rolling her shoulders and flexing her fingers. I wouldn't have it any other way, Ajui. Let's give them a good fight. Begin! Kindo wasted no time, activating her big fist quirk. Her hands expanded rapidly, becoming massive wrecking balls of muscle. With a powerful step forward, she swung at Suyu, the sheer force of her strike creating a gust of wind. Suyu leaped back, her agile frog-like body making dodging look effortless. The moment Kindo's fist slammed into the ground, Suyu lashed out with her tongue, aiming to wrap around Kindo's wrist. But Kindo was prepared. Instead of pulling away, she clenched her enlarged fingers, trapping Suyu's tongue between them. Gotcha! Kindo smirked and yanked hard, pulling Suyu off balance. However, Suyu expected this. Instead of resisting, she allowed the pull to launch her toward Kindo, twisting her body midair. Using Kindo's own grip against her, Suyu slammed both feet into Kindo's face. Gah! Kindo stumbled back, releasing Suyu's tongue. Suyu rebounded off Kindo's shoulders and flipped backward, landing on all fours like a frog. The crowd erupted in cheers as the two fighters reset their stances. Who? Izuku nodded with approval, pleasantly surprised. Honestly, he expected the fight to end quickly with the loss of his classmate, but to think that he forgot about that is stupid. He forgot that Sui has the proportional strength of a frog and the intelligence of a student from the most prestigious high school in the world. Not bad, Kindo admitted, shaking off the impact and wiping the blood from her nose. But let's see how you handle this. Kindo surged forward, her fists swinging like battering rams. Suyu dodged left, then right, barely evading the massive strikes. But Kindo wasn't just swinging wildly, she was hurting Suyu, cutting off her escape routes and pushing her closer to the arena's edge. Suyu clicked her tongue. Smart, Karo. Kindo too was a student of the same school. She wasn't a muscle-headed tomboy. She is. Seeing an opportunity, Kindo slammed both hands onto the ground, causing a shockwave that made Suyu lose her footing. Kindo capitalized immediately, sending a full-force punch at Suyu's midsection. Asterisk gawk. The hit connected, sending Suyu skidding backward, her feet digging into the ground just inches away from the ring's edge. Ha! Ha! Suyu looked up, her mind racing as she caught her breath. That punch knocked out all of her oxygen. Kindo smirked, confident that the next hit would knock Suyu out of bounds. But Suyu had a plan, her final move, something she desperately wanted to avoid doing. Luckily, there was a lot of dust to block the side of her next move. As Kindo lunged forward for the final blow, Suyu suddenly spat out a thick glob of mucus onto the ground. Kindo's foot slipped. In that instant, Suyu's tongue shot out, wrapping around Kindo's waist before the martial artist could regain balance. Wadash! With a sudden whip-like motion, Suyu used her tongue's grip to pivot Kindo's momentum against her. The redhead's body soared through the air, spinning uncontrollably. The crowd gasped. Kindo flailed, trying to reorient herself, but it was too late. She had been launched cleanly over the edge of the arena. Skidding for a bit before she stopped rolling. Her massive hand dropped to the ground with a heavy thud. She stared at the sky in disbelief. She lost. Even though she was stronger. She lost. Now Kindo understood how Class 1A survived the villain's attack at U.S.J. Atsuka Kindo has been ringed out. Suyu Asui wins. The audience exploded with cheers. Suyu retracted her tongue and straightened up, offering Kindo a small smile. You are strong, Kindo-chan. Karo. Kindo let out a chuckle from the ground before getting up and dusting herself off. That was sneaky, but really well played. The two girls exchanged a handshake before parting ways, each earning the crowd's respect for an incredible battle. Next, Hitoshi Shinszo vs. Jiruta Shishida. You do realize that you have a mic, right? You don't have to scream. Aizawa sighed. Oh, I wasn't using that to begin with. Wait. You haven't used your mic yet? Then how are? Oh. Yee. In an old pub, a group of people who have been cast away by society gathered. Most of them were criminals or on their way to committing a crime. They were watching the sports festival through the plasma TV with a boisterous attitude. Jihaha. That green girl reminds me of someone, one of them, a fat large man laughed. Ha ha ha. Rui, you bastard, you know that you can't be talking or being around kids, another one, a drunken smaller man, replied cheerfully. True that, jihaha. Multiple people sat in the pub, close to 30 criminals. Most of them were men with the exception of few women who were much more dangerous than the men. Although, they appeared less dangerous. Human trafficking, rapists, murderers, monsters and all sort of people were accepted in this place for the simple reason that this place was owned by the mafia. As long as you had money, you're welcome to stay as long as you want. The screen stopped, turning black. The crowd of lowlives instantly began to show their dissatisfaction by destroying the glass bottles of the drinks and throwing around multiple items on the ground. A drop of beer fell on a woman in her 40s. She slowly raised her arm, inspecting it with a calm rage. The crowd instantly stopped. And Maria. I'm sorry, it wasn't intentional. A large man apologized repeatedly, sweat dropping from his fat face. The sweat gave an odor that Maria found revolting. She grabbed a fork, directly leaping onto the large man and impaled it into his eyes, her face showing an intoxicated flush of excitement. She kept on attacking his face repeatedly, drilling holes in it as blood splattered all over her face. After a while, she got up. The man lay down, dead. Ah! Ah! Asterisk. Her legs trembled, face showing ecstasy as she neared climax. The men stood aside, watching with horror as the slim woman licked the blood off of her hands, an unhinged smile on her face, tears of joy falling from her eyes. Gentlemen, gentlemen. And you, Maria, Jiren greeted, walking into the scene carelessly. It wasn't his first experience. He knows the worth of a human life around these parts. Asterisk. Jiren, Maria narrowed her eyes. Was it you who turned off my TV? She glared. Easy, easy. He raised his hands, visibly sweating. It can't be helped, fear works on most people, more than enough to detect them from harming him. But for some people, they wanted to face the devil. They had no concept of fear. I'm here to offer you money, 20 million for one mission, you in. He directly went to the point, not daring to steal anything from the original payout. What's the job? Kill some kid, I'm not sure. From whom? The symbol of fear. The crowd gasped, fear taking over their minds. Who was the symbol of fear? The symbol of evil. This is the man who is capable of destroying an entire country if he wanted. 6 years ago he wanted to destroy half of Japan. He could have succeeded if not for All Might who stopped him. The public thinks that he died, but the shadows can see what's hidden in the dark. I don't need your filthy money, she growled, her mood soiled. You can also kill anyone else, not just the target. Do with them as you please. Jiren persuaded, a wicked smile on his face. Anyone? Anyone. Even. Little boys, she muttered, heaving. She can't wait to drink some young blood. Her quirk gave her bat wings, a mutation-type quirks. Problem? It was a mutation from vampire bats. It gave her a taste for blood. Yeah, sure, kill whatever you want. I'm in, she smiled, 2 fangs protruding out. Meet them here, I'll be going out. Wait! Jiren stood still, fear spilling into his heart. You forgot to open the TV. Ah. My bad. He opened the TV and hurriedly left. Chapter 31, He's Mine. Standing opposite of his opponent, Shinszo felt helpless. No matter how much the crowd cheered for him, he didn't feel confident. This man that he was facing was an absolute beast. There is no doubt that he'd lose in a direct combat. However, since when did he ever engage in a direct combat? Aizawa has taught him to avoid a direct approach. Jiroda Shishida, his opponent, was a large tall young man with a beastly appearance. But be not fooled, he's a true gentleman. There's no one as kind as this gentle giant. He has shaggy, brown hair covering most of his body. He has sharp teeth, and his large jaw sticks out a fair amount, with 2 lower canines poking upwards between his lips. He also wears small, rectangular glasses with thick black lenses. As monstrous as he looks, he is also extremely intelligent. Begin! President Mike announced the start of their battle. Wait! Shinszo raised his hand, stopping the enlarging Jiroda from directly ending the fight. Jiroda raised an eyebrow. Let's shake hands first, shall we? To show sportsmanship, of course, he smiled awkwardly, scratching his face with his finger. Okay. As strong and smart as he was, Jiroda was actually a gentleman. If he was offered respect, he'll reciprocate it directly. Unfortunately, he never expected that this gentle nature being the reason to be his downfall. His eyes blurred out instantly after he answered him, the tense muscles relaxing. Walk off the ring. His body began disobeying its host, directly walking to the edge. No matter how hard he tried, no matter how much he clenched his muscles, nothing. Eventually, he got out of the ring, unwillingly. Jiroda Shishida surrendered? Shinszo wins. The crowd looked as confused as President Mike was. Jiroda's body language suggested a strong confrontation. Why did he back out? Shinszo walked off, leaving Jiroda kneeling on the ground, an expression of disbelief on his face. A lesson was learned that day. Be kind, yes. But not too kind. While Shinszo won, he wasn't entirely happy about it. But he'll do what he must with what he has. He didn't have a cool flashy quirk like everyone else, but he possessed something crucial. The element of surprise. As long as he isn't exposed, there is no one capable of resisting him. Well done, Shinszo. Izuku patted his back after he sat down near him, giving him a drink. Thanks. Come on, You won. Cheer up. I tricked him. I used his own kindness. So what? It's called strategic thinking. You must use your enemies against themselves. You were brilliant. He wasn't an enemy. I can see us being good friends. You can befriend him after the festival. Why you think he'd accept being my friend? Sure, you're a great guy who is considerate. I, as your friend, am happy to have you. Shinszo blushed at the praise, not knowing what to say. Thanks. Don't mention it. Izuku patted his back gently. Izuku and the rest of the students sat down and chatted happily, watching as one match followed the other, having a great experience. Eventually, it was Uraraka versus Momo. Wish us luck, everyone. X2. Uraraka and Momo stepped into the ring. Both knew this fight would be more than just a clash of strength, it was a battle of creativity, strategy, and resilience. Ready. Go! Aizawa announced the start of the match. Momo acted first. In an instant, she reached into her body and pulled out a pair of flashbangs, tossing them toward Uraraka with expert precision. The grenades exploded in bursts of blinding white light. Uraraka shut her eyes just in time, rolling to the side, but she could still hear Momo's movements. As the spots in her vision faded, she saw that Momo had already produced a large ballistic shield and a long metal staff, standing poised for combat. Going on the defensive? Uraraka asked, shifting into a low stance. Not quite, Momo replied, swinging her staff. At the last moment, she twisted her grip, and the weapon split apart, turning into a pair of flexible whips. Momo has decided to copy the weapon that Izuku used frequently whenever he trained. She always watched him and she learned a lot, so she began imitating him. It can be said that the highest level of respect is imitation. She cracked them against the ground, kicking up dust to obscure her position. As of now, Momo was fighting in a way that Izuku would. Uraraka leaped back, touching a stray piece of rubble and flinging it toward Momo with a flick of her fingers. Normally, Momo would have dodged, but today she wasn't fighting as Momo, she was fighting as Izuku. The debris soared at high speed, but Momo countered instantly. One of her whips shot out, coiling around the rock mid-air, spinning it in an arc before launching it straight back at Uraraka. Uraraka barely dodged in time, feeling the wind rush past her cheek. I won't go down easily, Momo said, her voice unwavering. I wouldn't want you to, Uraraka shot back, running forward. Uraraka was as stubborn as it gets, losing was not even a thought in her mind. The only way she can see herself losing today is by being heavily injured or incapacitated. Momo moved to meet her, but Uraraka was faster. With a burst of speed, she ducked low, aiming for Momo's legs. The whip cracked again, forcing Uraraka to pivot, but she was already forming a plan. She had to find a way through Momo's seemingly endless arsenal, not as easy as it sounds. While Momo had a larger build and bigger muscles, she was also slower than her, who could use her quirk to boost her own speed. Momo reached for another Creation A series of weighted bolus. She hurled them with practiced accuracy, aiming to entangle Uraraka's limbs. Uraraka flipped midair, narrowly avoiding entrapment, but Momo was already on the move, producing a large net launcher from her back and firing it. Uraraka had seconds to react. Instead of dodging outright, she raised her arms and let the net envelop her, only to touch it lightly, activating her quirk. The net suddenly became weightless. She twisted, flinging it back toward Momo, who had to dive away to avoid her own trap. Crafty. Coming from you, that's rich. A small smirk formed on Uraraka's lips. She was getting through. Their movements became a dance, Momo crafting weapons and tools at a dizzying speed, Uraraka maneuvering through them with precise agility. Shields, spears, smoke bombs, Momo was relentless. But each time, Uraraka found a way to use her quirk to shift the battlefield. Floating debris became obstacles, counterattacks turned into diversions, and weightlessness disrupted Momo's well-planned defenses. Izuku stared with disbelief at what he was seeing. He really underestimated the girls in his class. They were strong. He leaned forward, studying their movements with an analytical gaze. A habit he picked from the memories of Deku. Between exchanges, they spoke, their words a mask for the real conversation happening in their minds. "He's incredible, isn't he?" Momo said, launching a barrage of caltrops onto the battlefield. Uraraka knew who she meant. "Izuku?" She touched a chunk of concrete, sending it soaring to scatter the caltrops. "Of course. But you already knew that." Momo smiled knowingly. "He's changed the way we see our limits, an insurmountable mountain." Uraraka didn't deny it. She pressed forward, forcing Momo to switch tactics again. This time, Momo formed a massive halberd, swinging it in a wide arc. Uraraka dodged, but the sheer force of the swing kicked up a blast of wind, nearly toppling her. "He inspires you too," Uraraka said, flipping back onto her feet. "That was close." Momo's eyes flickered with something unreadable. "He inspires all of us." The battlefield was crumbling beneath them, the fight reaching its peak. Momo produced a final weapon, a pair of gauntlets crackling with stored energy. She lunged forward, aiming to finish it. Uraraka waited until the last moment, then she grabbed Momo's wrist. With a single touch, Momo felt her body lose weight. She floated upward, her footing gone. A moment of panic flashed in her eyes as she struggled, but Uraraka was already moving. She slammed her own feet down, releasing Momo's weight at the perfect moment. Gravity did the rest. Momo crashed to the ground, her breath leaving her in a sharp gasp. The match was over. Panting, Uraraka extended a hand. "That was close." Momo looked up, her expression softening before she took the offered hand. "Yes, very close." The fight was over, but the thoughts of a certain green-haired boy lingered between them. It was left unspoken, but both of them declared their intentions to the other as their gazes met. "He's mine." X2. In an apartment that is considered outdated by the standards of this day and age, yet being considered beautiful as well, a man sat on his couch, drinking vodka with a carefree attitude. 9 armed robberies, 3 murders, and 29 attempted murders. That's his record. Kenji Hikishi, or better known as Magna. Someone who possessed the quirk magnetism. It allowed her to apply strong magnetic polarity to people around her within a 4.5-meter radius. She could magnetize a person's entire body or specific portions. Men are polarized south, and women are polarized north. Magna couldn't magnetize herself. While men and women can be attracted to each other, using the same quirk against 2 targets of the same gender pushes them apart. North with north pushes each other, north with south closes with each other. A mighty push and pull. Just like a magnet, thus the name. Magna was a woman with quite a wide, muscular build. She underwent a gender-swapping quirk effect, just like Tiger of the Wild Pussycats. Her shoulder-length hair was smooth, and a reddish magenta color. Her rather square jaw was also thinly covered in facial hair. Her lips were notably big, appearing to be similar to Rikido Sato, a fellow classmate of Izuku, just slightly more pink-tinted in color. She always wore triangular, white-framed sunglasses, obscuring her eyes. Along with these, she also wore a dark orange shirt, which was unbuttoned, revealing the white V-neck she had on underneath, blue jeans with a belt, and plain dark brown espadrilles on her feet. Magna was an observant person. She can tell when anything shifted in an unpleasant direction. Thus, when she felt a hand approaching her door, ready to knock on it, she spoke first. "Come in, old man." Jiren opened the door slowly, entering with a bottle of wine. Magna smiled. She liked Jiren. He knew her taste for alcoholic. Unfortunately, he refused to be her suitor. What do you want? Not even a greeting? Jiren said in an exasperated expression. Fine. I'm here for a job. He threw her a piece of paper. Magna slowly read it. League of Villains? What kind of retarded name is that? Jiren's eyes twitched. Shigaraki named it. It's after some game with a similar name. Who the fuck is this Garaki guy? Your boss. Should you accept this? Why should I? What will I gain? Money. I have that. What do you want then? She smirked. You. Hell. No. I don't swing left. Fine. I want to do whatever I want. Sure, I can manage to convince them to give you full freedom. All right, I'm in. Jiren turned, opting to walk away as he didn't feel safe here. Wait, where are you going? Come have a sip from the wine. There's no way I'm drinking alcohol around you. There's a 0.005% chance that I get drunk. That's too high. I'm not risking it, he bolted out. TCH, smart bastard. She watched as he got out of the room, leaving the door intentionally open to annoy her. Bastard. Chapter 32, Sports Festival, Finale, Part 1. The stadium roared as the next match of the UA Sports Festival was announced. Uraraka Ochako vs Bakugo Katsuki. Many in the audience expected a one-sided battle. Uraraka was strong, sure, but Bakugo was a powerhouse, an explosion. Wielding juggernaut who had torn through his previous opponents like a force of nature. So far, not a scratch has been seen on his skin from his battles. Izuku's face was showing an uncomfortable expression. He knew what was coming, so he was distressed. Bakugo will not hold back and will fight her seriously. He steeled himself, ready for what was to come. Easy there, kid, Uraraka is also strong. Nana rolled her eyes at him. That's the problem. It is precisely because of her strength that he wouldn't hold back on her, harming her greatly. Put some trust in her abilities, will you? Just because she's a girl doesn't mean that she'll lose that hard. Nana scolded. TM. Worried. Right now, Izuku is going to see his crush getting ragdolled on the stage. The worst part is that he can't do anything about it. The school will interfere when it's too much, don't worry. Nana sighed, a helpless smile on her face. This is the problem with men in love, they're too protective. This reminded her of her husband who always scolded her after she returned home with injuries. Nana frowned as the memories returned. So many regrets, so many things left unsaid. The dead can only live in regret. Uraraka took a deep breath, steeling herself as she stepped into the ring. Bakugo, hands in his pockets, eyed her with a sharp gaze. You better not hold back, he muttered. Start! The moment midnight signaled the start, Bakugo launched forward, his palms igniting with a deafening boom. Uraraka barely dodged in time, rolling to the side as an explosion cracked the ground where she had stood. Hot! The air was so hot it burned her lungs as she breathed it. But she wasn't just dodging. As she moved, her fingers brushed against debris Bakugo's attacks had created, making them weightless. Bakugo is strong, yes. But he was reckless when it comes to property damage. This can be exploited. Bakugo grinned. Running won't save you. He rocketed toward her, sending a barrage of explosions in her direction. Uraraka danced around them, nimble and precise. The heat licked at her skin, and the shockwaves rattled her bones, but she refused to back down. Normally, she'd create a distance first, use a distraction even. But now she opted to brute force her way through his attacks, tanking them. As the attack struck her midsection, she struck. A fighting style inspired by Kirishima himself, the battle of endurance. It burns! She cried out in pain, feeling the heat cauterize her skin. A faint act of retreat from the pain. A sudden pivot. And then, her hand grazed Bakugo's forearm. She was blasted backwards, rolling for a bit until she stopped. For a moment, nothing happened, the crowd watching anxiously as she slowly got up, a small smile on her lips. Bakugo's eyes widened as his body felt unnaturally light. Uraraka had activated her quirk. TCH. He snarled and blasted downward to counteract it, but Uraraka had anticipated that. The moment he stabilized, she was already in front of him, aiming a precise kick to his ribs. It landed. Bakugo grunted as he was sent skidding back due to his light weight. The crowd gasped. He had finally taken a hit. Izuku watched with a frown, his legs kicking down repeatedly. How hateful. To watch someone you love getting harmed. As expected, Izuku hated that she wanted to be a hero, as that would be dangerous for her. Even him, the person capable of destroying multiple cities, could simply be killed by a touch from someone like Overhaul. This world is dangerous, a simple handshake from your fan could result in your death. 72%. This was the mortality rate of heroes. There's a reason the pay is so high. The government kept spreading propaganda about heroism, making everyone want to be a hero. The existence of All Might didn't help neither. The crowd cheered for her, seeing as she got the upper hand in the battle, an unexpected twist. But Uraraka knew this was far from over. Bakugo wiped his mouth, a feral grin stretching across his face. Not bad, he admitted. But you think that's enough to beat me? With a roar, he launched another barrage of explosions, this time faster, stronger. Uraraka's world became fire and smoke. As she zigzagged through the battlefield, avoiding the worst of it but still feeling the sting of stray blasts. Boom! 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 She couldn't see a thing, everything was a sea of fire and smoke, her ears were ringing and the pain from the heat made her unable to focus. It couldn't help that the oxygen was getting burned as well, preventing her from breathing. But she refused to give up. This is the power of the indomitable human spirit. Stay still, he shouted, launching a massive explosion. She was fast at dodging, and it didn't help that Bakugo was recoiled with each attack that he threw, due to his light weight. Her chance came when he overcommitted to an attack. As he lunged forward with a massive explosion, Uraraka leaped over him, twisting midair, her fingers tapping the ground just enough to lift more debris. You can't win using your tricks. Are you going to dodge forever? Who said I'm dodging? She smirked, blood running down her nose. Let the whole world see the grit of a determined woman. Star. Huh? Bakugo slowly looked at his surroundings. Aizawa smirked, his smile of pride hidden beneath his scarf. Release! A storm of weightless rubble rained down at high speed, forcing Bakugo to go fully on the defensive. Atta girl! Izuku laughed, standing up and cheering loudly. Go, go, Uraraka! Suyu cheered her with a happy expression. Go, go, Uraraka! X2! Go, go, Uraraka! X7! Go, go, Uraraka! X104! Go, go, Uraraka! X1048! The crowd began chanting in unison, all of them rooting for the underdog. Shit! Bakugo's hands became a blur, detonating each incoming projectile, but Uraraka kept up the pressure, launching more and more. You guys. She smiled with determination as she heard the voices. Normally, she'd use this chance to attack him, but she opted to tire him out by raining them down on him. Eventually, his hands tired from the constant recoil, he winced and lowered his hands slightly. A jagged piece of concrete slammed into Bakugo's shoulder, injuring him. A stunned silence fell over the stadium. At that moment, everyone understood that Uraraka was just as terrifying than Bakugo. Bakugo staggered slightly, his arm tense from the impact. He slowly turned to Uraraka, eyes burning with something between fury and respect. He laughed. You're really trying to win, huh? He adjusted himself, shooting a small explosion from his right hand, anchoring him down. "Of course I am," Uraraka shot back, panting. "I'm not here to lose." Her eyes were half-lidded, panting heavily, but there was a light in them. Bakugo stared at her, wiping the blood from his arm. He rolled his dislocated shoulders, fixing them in place. "Then fight. Like hell, because I'm not gonna let you have it easy." His expression changed from confidence to seriousness. Bakugo decided to go all out. Uraraka barely had time to react as the air itself seemed to explode. Bakugo closed the distance in an instant, forcing her into a relentless defensive dance. His explosions weren't just random bursts now, they were calculated, precise, cutting off her escape routes, keeping her cornered. Her mind raced. She needed one more big move, one final gamble. Then, an idea struck her mind. Feigning exhaustion, she let Bakugo drive her back toward the edge of the arena. As he closed in for the finishing blow, she activated her quirk one last time. On herself. She shot upward, dodging his attack by mere inches. Then, twisting in the air, she deactivated her quirk and plummeted, using gravity itself as her weapon. Lunar Divil, her leg came crashing down toward him in a downward arc. Bakugo roared and raised his hands, meeting her strike with an explosion that shook the stadium. The shockwave sent her flying, landing in the opposite direction, outside of the ring. When the dust settled, Uraraka tried to stand, but her body wouldn't move. Her leg was heavily bleeding, the other leg twitching from the exertion and recoil. Bakugo stood, bruised, his left shoulder bleeding, but still standing, smoke emitting from his palms. Midnight's voice rang out. "Uraraka is unable to continue. Bakugo wins." The crowd erupted, but Bakugo only stared at Uraraka as she lay there, exhausted but grinning up at him. Bakugo wasn't stupid. That grin is fake. She's holding herself from crying. "That was a hell of a fight," he muttered, turning away. She lied there, helplessly waiting for the stretcher to carry her to Recovery Girl's nursery. Izuku stared at her as she was carried away, his expression unreadable. Dumb. Dumb. Dumb 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 dumb. 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 King engine activated. His face was furious. Powerful electric arcs shot out from him, startling his classmates. His hair turned wild, his usually bright and determined eyes now dark with rage. His brows are furrowed so deeply that deep creases form between them, his emerald irises glowing with barely contained fury. His teeth are clenched tightly, lips pulled back in a near snarl, revealing the tension in his jaw. "Izuku? Dude! Somebody slap him or something. Hell to the no. I like breathing." His nostrils flared as his breathing grew heavy, his entire face turned flushed with anger, veins subtly visible on his temples. His freckles, usually a soft, carefree feature, seem almost lost in the sheer intensity of his expression. Sparks of energy crackle around his tense fists as his entire body trembles, not from fear, but from the overwhelming urge to unleash his rage. Huh? What's that beating sound? Why is it kinda scary though, haha. The heroes in the crowd went on the defensive, hyper alert at the sound they were hearing. This. An attack. It feels like an attack. Assume formation 3. Roger. Everyone calm down. President Mick's voice interrupted the crowd from panicking, his voice startled. It's not an attack. Shinszo directly slapped Izuku's face, waking him up from his momentary stupor. Izuku blinked, slowly turning to him. The hell was that for? Calm down, you're freaking us out. Shinszo screamed to his face, his legs shaking with fear. King Engine. An ability that reacted to extreme negative emotions has been directly upgraded by the system, making it even stronger. Intimidation. That was its main ability. It also offered a 10% boost to his overall power. Oh. Izuku looked around him. Everyone from his classmates were looking at him, their expressions showing fear. Star. What? A mess. Izuku sighed. We tried reaching out to you but you didn't hear a thing. And shook his head. Control your hormones, lover boy. Nana chuckled. How cute. I guess watching his crush getting pummeled by his bully pushed him, ha ha ha. Banjo laughed, enjoying the chaos. TM banning you from porn for a month. And no. Wait, let's negotiate that. Want some tips on how to bag a girl? Let's talk. Go fuck yourself. Izuku cut the connection and slowly got up. Where are you heading to? Shinszo asked, relaxing slightly. He knew that Izuku won't harm him but he was still scared for some reason. Almost as if that heart-beating sound influenced his mind, making him instinctively scared. What a scary ability. To see Uraraka. Izuku turned to the rest. I'm sorry, I can't control my quirk very well. I'll try to do better in the future, he bowed. Apologetically. How embarrassing. Phew. That gave us a scare, didn't it? President Mike laughed awkwardly. Now, cheer up. Next is the anticipated fight, Shoto Todoroki versus Izuku Midoriya. Izuku passed by Shoto as he went to the infirmary. Asterisk. Shoto stared at his back, his expression unreadable. He was supposed to fight. That? Somehow, Shoto started fearing for his life. But at the same time, he wanted to fight him. To see the space between them. The heck was that for? Kaminari loudly whispered after Izuku left. I know, right? It's almost as if a switch got turned inside his head. It's because of Uraraka. Everyone turned to Shishida, waiting for her to continue. He likes Uraraka, Bakugo hit her, as simple as that, she sighed. Asterisk. What? No. Way. I knew it. He always stared at her at the gym. Dude! Kirishima nudged Kaminari for his crude comment. My bad. True feelings. He likes her? Momo stared at Shishida in visible shock. How do you know that? She asked, her expression hiding her. Asterisk. The eyes don't lie, Momo. I have seen the way he looks at her. Shishida looked at her friend, a sad expression on her face. How terrible. To watch the one you love not even considering you. To watch as someone else lives your dreams. In a way, Shishida understood her feelings, she also had a small crush on him. In fact, she wasn't the only one. Shishida watched the girls in her class, their expressions varying from shock to pain. What a twist, huh? Jiro joked, her face stiff. Asterisk. Momo's face was unreadable. Love. So fragile yet so strong. Lita dug into his pockets, pulling out his phone. Sorry guys, it's from my mom, he apologized with a helpless smile, walking away from them to make a call. In the murmuring crowd, Mirko grinned. That sure gave her a fright. Scary little shit, she smiled, her crossed arms tightly holding themselves together. This level of intimidation is unheard of, in all of her years, Mirko never felt such a fright from a villain. It must be the effect of his quirk, probably an intimidation-based one. Ryukyu whipped her sweaty forehead with a handkerchief, her enlarging claws receding. The fuck is his quirk? Mirko frowned, feeling great curiosity. Is it shadow manipulation? Super strength? Super speed? Teleportation? Just what the fuck is his quirk? I don't know. He's someone who fought with All Might, so it's probably a strong quirk. Mirko's gaze followed his back as he retreated from view. I'm going to follow him, I want to recruit him. Go? Finally taking a fancy to a pupil? Ryukyu teased, a small smile on her lips. Yeah, I want to fight him, Mirko grinned, her expression turning hungry for battle. Ryukyu shook her head at the retreating figure. Wait, you're not allowed to go there. Asterisk watch me enter then, she smirked, walking past the crowds. Destination? The infirmary. Chapter 34 Overdrive. Shoto vs. Izuku. Mom. Dad. Asterisk Uraraka sobbed as she talked through her flip phone. You tried your best, honey, we're proud of you. Uraraka wiped the tears on her face, nodding at her mother's words. She had one leg lifted up and coated with a cast boot, her body was coated with multiple layers of bandages. Only her face and upper section were spared, her lower body received heavy whiplash from the shock of the explosions. Izuku knocked on the door, entering into the infirmary slowly after hearing approval. Hey, he greeted, a helpless smile on his face. Hey. You were great. I'm proud of you. Thanks, you're next, right? She replied, a small blush on her face. Yeah, it's Shoto and me now. They sat in silence as the clock ticked away, none speaking. Well, don't let me hold you back, go get them, she said, her cheerful expression fake. Izuku took a deep breath. Say, why don't we do an activity together? Shop at a mall or something? Maybe go hit the arcade or bowling center? Izuku wished to release some of the tension that she has been feeling. He knew her family's financial situation and the constant stress that this shitty school weighed heavily on her young heart. While he knew that Uraraka was strong, he also knew that she was hurting. Plus, he wished to go on a date with her. The moment Izuku saw her, it just clicked and he knew that she was the one for some reason. He was never a romantic guy, so he didn't know what he was experiencing. But one thing was certain. Izuku has a crush on her. Uraraka blinked, surprised by his words. Like a group activity? No. Just you and me, having fun. She blushed. Sure. I'd love to hang out. Izuku coughed, deciding to ignore her blunder. However, he failed to hide his silly grin as he got a direct confirmation that she had some feelings for him. This Saturday? It's on me. No, I have money. I insist. I like spending money on pretty girls. I feel like I should be happy, but that line makes you sound like a playboy scumbag. Haha. Only for you. Izuku laughed as he got out of the infirmary, his cheerful expression back to him. As he left, Uraraka stared at his back with a soft smile. A happy smile left on her face at his words. She hid behind the covers and went to sleep with a giddy attitude. Love. It changes your heart in ways you can't control. You could be crying in a second and laughing in the next at the sight of the one you love. Izuku stared at the figure standing opposite of him with a dull face. It was Mirko. She assaulted the guards and snuck inside. Probably left alone due to the intervention of a certain principal. Pardon? I said, become my apprentice. Mirko grinned, looking at him with an excited mood. Izuku stared at the small woman with a turned gaze. It's always the weirdos that surround him. First Bakugo, then Shoto, Endeavor, and now Mirko. Was he a weird magnet? Was this the so-called curse of the main character? Oh well. No, I want hawks. Mirko's smile dispersed, replaced by an eye roll. What's so good about that big bird? Just because he can fly doesn't mean that he's better than me, she indignantly kicked her legs like an angry rabbit. Cute! Izuku coughed. We both know that you want to have me as an apprentice so that you can fight me. Mirko coughed, a small embarrassed blush on her face. The kid's smart. He analyzed her intentions in less than a minute. But Mirko was confident in her charm as a woman. She can convince a young hormonal teenager to do anything for her. That thought made Mirko feel like a horrible person. So she ignored it. I'll give you free rein. You can do whatever you want and I'll take full responsibility for your actions during patrols, asterisk. Izuku stared at the woman for a while. It was a very good offer. However, Hawks is the future head of the Hero Association. Forming a relationship with him will be very beneficial for him on the long run. Plus, Izuku was a calm and a reasonable person. Mirko would probably make more troubles than him. She probably knew that as well. Hawks has a huge potential as a hero and as a political figure. If not for AFO stealing his quirk, then he'd most likely become the #1 after Endeavor. Mirko, on the other hand, well, Izuku can't see her being more than a popular hero, possibly reaching top 3 in the future. And Izuku was immune to her charms. Even the goddess Aphrodite can't woo him, for he is in love. A man in love can't be charmed. Every woman will appear less appealing than his lover. No, I want Hawks. Why? Well, it was mainly because of how close Hawks was to his personality. He was chill, coupled with the fact that he has connections that far surpassed Mirko in all categories. Plus, he won't beat him in the guise of training. I already made a promise to him. I can't. Sorry. Izuku walked forward, leading to the arena as he heard the announcement that 3 minutes are left. Wait, Mirko grabbed his hand, her expression hidden from his gaze. I didn't wish to use it, but you forced my hand. Mirko took a deep breath, steeling herself. This'll hurt. Please, she gave him a sad, innocent, puppy-eyed expression, her rabbit ears behind her head. This is her ultimate weapon. A weapon she used on her mother countless times to get what she wanted. Her parents folded instantly upon witnessing it, bending to her will. The success chance was a guaranteed 100%. No. Izuku walked out. Mirko stood in a daze. Eh? The stadium was deathly silent, a tension so thick it could be cut with a blade. Shoto stared at Izuku, his gaze analytical. Something happened that calmed Izuku. Shock was certain. He wasn't angry anymore. Shoto hated that it made him feel relieved. Ready. Start! The moment the signal was given, Todoroki lunged backward, launching an ice wave that surged toward Izuku like a tidal wave of jagged crystal. Izuku didn't move. He simply walked forward. The ice crashed down like an avalanche, but before it could reach him, Izuku's foot lifted off the ground. 40%. The moment it touched down again, the entire field cracked. A violent shockwave rippled out from his step, shattering the ice midair, sending shards flying like shrapnel. Izuku's mood was good, so he didn't end the match immediately, opting to let Shoto show what he got to the heroes. Todoroki's eyes widened. His breath was already fogging in the cold air, but the fear was unmistakable. He clenched his teeth and sprinted away, his left side blazing to life in an inferno of searing red and orange. With a flick of his wrist, a colossal pillar of fire erupted between them, forming an impassable wall of flame. Izuku walked through it. His uniform burned away in places, exposing his trained body beneath, but he didn't falter. He emerged from the other side, eyes sharp, emerald green flashing like a predator. His gaze was infuriatingly calm. Defense 3 mixed with OFA 40%. Practicality immune to heat-based attacks. Izuku ignored the cheers of the audience as his upper body got exposed. You're running, Izuku said, his voice carrying over the roar of the flames. That won't help you. Todoroki launched another ice field at his feet, using it as a slide to gain distance. His mind raced. He needed a strategy. Izuku was treating this like a hunt. Walking him down, forcing him to expend energy. Todoroki's ice couldn't slow him. Fire couldn't deter him. But there had to be a way to turn this around. He needs to push him off the ring. He skated across the battlefield, ice forming in rapid succession beneath his feet. He twisted, lifting his arm, and a storm of jagged spikes shot toward Izuku at blinding speed. But Izuku didn't just dodge. He sidestepped with surgical precision, weeding through the shards as if they were moving in slow motion. Each shard carried a terrifying weight, the ground trembling slightly with every hit. Speed 3. An ability that enhanced his perception. Even without the Sharingan, he's still considered fast at thinking. However, it was painful to use it for a prolonged amount of time. Todoroki could feel it. The sheer pressure. Every step Izuku took wasn't just movement, it was dominance. With a desperate roar, Todoroki unleashed a fiery tornado, the heat distorting the air itself. The sheer force lifted debris off the ground, sending embers spiraling into the sky. Izuku finally paused, staring at the approaching hellish tornado that could burn a normal person into ashes in less than 10 seconds. Izuku took a deep inhale of air, his lungs inflated in his chest as it rose with the pressure of the air that he was compressing inside his lungs. Izuku directly blew out, sending all the air in the direction of the tornado. The shockwave was instantaneous. The fire rose up and cratered, sending ruptures outward in every direction. The force of the wind extinguished the flames, crushing Todoroki's tornado before it could fully form. The sheer pressure sent Todoroki flying, his back slamming into the ice wall with a force that made the crowd gasp. The yellow force field that was protecting the audience flickered as it received the heat from the attack. Luckily, Niza wasn't cheap when it came to protection, so no one had their hair turned into an afro. He's stupidly strong. I can feel the heat through the barriers, it's scorching hot. As expected of Endeavor's son, he's simply on another league. Just who the hell is that green kid? Didn't I see him on the news a while ago about a sludge villain attack? This school is nuts. Blood dripped from Todoroki's lip. His vision blurred. Izuku was already walking toward him again. No more running, Izuku murmured, stopping a few feet away. Use everything, or I'll end this now. So far, Shoto was still holding back, something that made Izuku frustrated. Fire and ice when mixed makes steam, aka energy. Combining the two elements should result in a massive explosion similar to a missile strike, if not stronger. Shoto 00000. Endeavor slammed his hands on the railing, his expression full of excitement. Show them! Show them who you are, fight back! Todoroki's breath hitched. His father's voice clawed at the back of his mind. Use your flames. But it wasn't about that. This wasn't about his father's power. This was his fight. His flames didn't work, his ice didn't work. So, the only thing left is to combine both powers and unleash everything. With a roar that shook the Endeavor's heart, Todoroki's fire and ice exploded outward at the same time. Ice surged up in massive glaciers while firestorm spirals intertwined with them, turning the battlefield into a hellish tundra of raging elements. Izuku still walked forward, a small grin in his face. That's right. Push yourself, show me your everything. Be strong enough to protect yourself and everyone I love. Todoroki snarled, pushing past his limits. His flames turned white-hot, his ice so cold it cracked with every movement. The stage couldn't take it. The ground beneath them shattered entirely, falling apart into rubble as Todoroki's quirk spiraled out of control. Clementos! Niza anxiously called, already knowing what was to come. On it! Cementos jumped down, his hands extending downward to create a base that reinforced the original base structure. Cement, ice, and fire, anxious sounds of the onlookers combined together, and at the peak of chaos, Izuku moved. Not walked. Moved. One step. And suddenly he was in front of Todoroki. Saru. 15%. A fist drove into Todoroki's gut like a cannon. The world blurred. Air was ripped from his lungs. He felt weightless before. He felt pain. He was airborne, thrown skyward from the sheer impact. He barely had time to register before Izuku appeared. Above him, flipping mid-air. Jippo! The heel of Izuku's boot came down like judgment itself. Todoroki crashed into the battlefield like a meteor, his ice shield scattering in the blowing wind. Silence. The crowds were very silent. Shoto slowly got back up, his body shaking from the exertion. He pushed ahead of his limits long ago, he was currently running on pure willpower. The fire flickered out. The ice began to melt. And Izuku, standing at the edge of the crater, looked down at his barely standing opponent. He sighed, cracking his neck. "I told you," he muttered. "Running wouldn't help. Who said that I was running?" Shoto grinned, coughing out blood. "What? Look around you, bastard." Izuku slowly looked around him. The area was full of ultra-compressed ice that was melting around him. He raised an eyebrow. What was he missing now? What made Shoto so confident? Guess what happens when you combine fire with ice? He smirked, his left side glowing dangerously. "Wait!" Cryo overdrive. The last thing the cameras saw was the speeding figure of Izuku towards the glowing figure of Shoto. Bo 00000000000 Mimi. An explosion so massive it destroyed all 23 barriers that Cementos has made. The structure itself got detonated so hard it practically got vaporized. Normally, Shoto would never use such a move, but he knew that his opponent can take it. The problem? He didn't consider the fact that he himself can't take it. Not good. Endeavor jumped down, multiple feathers pushing him at high speed, courtesy of hawks. Shoto shot out at hyperspeed, his body being intercepted by an intruding figure. He crossed the barrier and held him protectively as his body slammed to the wall, dislocating his shoulder with a pop. Izuku shot out at hypersonic speeds. A figure intercepted his speeding body as he held him before getting smashed through the stadium walls. Endeavor and All Might interfered. What happened? What? I can't hear you. Fuck, my ears are ringing. What? Just shut up, man. What? The crowd watched with visible anticipation as the smoke slowly began to clear, worry visible on their face. Who won? What was the cost? Are they dead? Slowly, Endeavor exited the rubble, carrying his bleeding son with him. Shoto's left arm and right leg got broken. He was unconscious. Shoto! Son? Boy! Endeavor repeatedly tapped on his face, trying to wake him up. What have I done? He watched in horror, the worst of the worst types of scenarios playing in his mind. He hugged his son, his expression lost with deep regret. He pushed him so hard that he killed him. Move it, Endeavor! Hawks pushed him aside, taking Shoto and flying at high speeds towards the running recovery girl. His feathers could hear it, the vibrations that his heartbeat was emitting. It was faint, but it was there. In his delusion, Endeavor failed to see his breathing son. He got back up and chased Hawks towards Recovery Girl as they disappeared from view. Chapter 35, Sports Festival, Finale, Part 2. Izuku got out of the rubble, All Might walking beside him. Are you okay? All Might asked calmly. He knew the power that Izuku holds, such an attack couldn't take him down. Yeah, Izuku coughed from the dirt. How about Shoto? Is he alright? He got rushed back to Recovery Girl. He should be okay after a few hours. Are you sure? The recoil from that attack must have done a number on him. Yeah, he'll be fine. By the way, why are you staring at the ceiling? You're naked. Wear something. All Might shook his head with a helpless sigh. The heat from the explosion evaporated his clothes. Oh! Haha, my bad. Izuku directly used Black Whip to cover himself in its shadows. We have to get out of here, thanks for catching me. So, when were you going to talk about this? All Might pointed at the dark tendrils covering his body. Oh! Izuku remembered that he hasn't told All Might about the past users. He smiled mischievously. Only when you tell Mom about your secret identity, only then I'll tell you. Listen, kid. All Might sighed, rubbing his eyebrows. Once she knows who I am, she'll be dragged into my life. I learned from my sensei that you shouldn't involve others in your hero career. Don't worry, I'll protect her with you, you're not alone, Izuku chuckled, a soft smile on his face. Having the All Might as a bodyguard is such a relief. It'll do for now. However, Izuku was certain that he'll unlock 100% and more of OFA in a few years, so he's fated to surpass him. Unfortunately, that man was hell-bent on fucking with him. Star. All Might stared at him, his expression unreadable. Say, are you really trying to be the next symbol of peace? Can you endure it? Izuku paused, his expression thoughtful. Can he change the world for the better? Why not? If a man did it before him, then why shouldn't he be able to? He'll fix this world and mold it into his own image of peace. Reformation. That was the easiest way to control the huge amount of villains. But how? Villains are not easily controllable. Each and every one of them hold a valid point that they can make. Yeah, I can surpass you. Izuku stood still as he gazed at his eyes. The two men stared at each other, a silent conversation between their gazes. Very well. I'll tell the world about you, don't be surprised when I give you the samurai honor later, All Might chuckled. Imagining what will happen next. Samurai honor or Bushido. It is the act of attacking your successor in front of a crowd of people to show his worthiness. If he can tank the attacks, he's worthy to inherit the mantle of the strongest. If not, he can still be a hero, just not the hero. Heh. Bring it on, old man. Izuku walked out of the hole in the wall, All Might accompanying him slowly. The crowd cheered with visible relief as they saw him without any injuries, only his clothes got torn. This had an effect though, as Izuku's body was fully revealed except for his pants. Spectators instantly noticed his incredibly compact muscles that told many stories about his commitment and self-control. It was admirable and incredibly sexy. The women instantly took out their phones, shooting hundreds of photos at the V-shaped torso and the visible abs. Disgusting horn dogs, a man spat out with disdain, opening his phone to stare at boobs. However, the men who had experience in the body and its anatomy were utterly confused. How can a kid this young reach such a body? It was as if it was sculpted to reach perfection. This should take a minimum of 10 to 20 years. How? This was the effect of the minor healing potions. It gave him a body that should take years to achieve. While it simply recovered his exhausted body, it also healed his muscles. This gave him the ability to achieve so much in so little time. Well, even if he didn't get the healing vials, he still has Recovery Girl, and if he combined her with Stamina 3, he'll never run out of energy for her to heal him, effectively making her an infinite healing potion. Luckily, Recovery Girl couldn't hear his thoughts, or she would be coughing blood for days. So, am I good to go? Izuku asked with a pensive expression as Recovery Girl retracted her lips from his face. Go, and for the love of whatever you love, stop sending patients my way. Right, I'll try, Izuku nodded. Now about that candy. Shameless. That was her one thought. Here, although you don't deserve it. How cruel. Izuku snatched the candy jar instead of the offered piece of candy. Thanks, he skedaddled out. Wait *** Recovery Girl watched as he disappeared from view, as if teleporting out. **. Bray it! I need 5 of them, AFO said as he gazed at the pods. He was inside the lab. Besides him was Garaki. 5? Didn't you say 3 earlier? Garaki raised an eyebrow, confused. 3 high-end Nomu for someone was an overkill. It'll alarm nearby nations of their existence. Now he wants 5? 3 won't be able to cut it, I'll need more. But why? My precious Nomus are an incredibly powerful weapon. I have many ways to take down All Might using only 2. Not for the big oaf, it's for the little gremlin. I watched his performance. His control over my brother's quirk reached a high point. he will surpass All Might soon. Izuku Midoriya. An unforeseen variable to his plans. Each and every one of them. Spending their puny lives away just to disturb mine. AFO wondered why the vestiges didn't just leave him alone. At first he didn't attack anyone they knew, leaving them to their devices, but they still had to trouble him, preaching naive things about equality and righteousness. Such concepts change with time. It wasn't his fault that he was born in an era that had different ideals. As they kept on disturbing him, he was forced to kill them. Over and over and over again. Well, even if you say so, 5 isn't overkill for a little kid. Garaki, AFO's voice turned cold sharply. Do as told. I don't care if the 9th dies, I can extract his quirk from his corpse. Similar to how he made Kurogiri, he can manipulate the quirks of dead people, stealing, giving, or forcefully activating it. This was his advantage. Using this method, he stole countless quirks throughout the years, going to cemeteries and seeing freshly dead corpses. However, nowadays, he is disgusted of such actions and is not willing to degrade himself to such a degree anymore. AFO was a prideful man. Stealing from the dead was something that he frowned upon. He didn't wish to use it unless absolutely necessary. However, stealing his brother's quirk from the corpse of Izuku Midoriya was okay on his book. Otherwise, Izuku Midoriya will be strong enough to kill him in no time. Asterisk. Well, if you say so. But I must warn you about using too many nomas, it'll alarm other nations of their threat. You don't want her to come to Japan, do you? It doesn't matter. All I want is to get my brother back. Asterisk, you mean his quirk? Garaki raised an eyebrow. AFO grinned sadistically, his teeth showing in a devious grin. Yes. Once I get my brother's quirk, I'll be invinci-asterisk. Well. Izuku cracked his shoulders, standing opposite of Bakugo. Bakugo stared at his opponent with a stoic expression. This will be a test. A test of everything that he ever achieved throughout his life. A more than worthy opponent. Someone who he regrettably treated like a lesser person. He treated him like a pebble in the past, a stepping stone that kept on growing from a pebble to a rock and then a bloody meteorite. And now, his past is facing him, and it's not happy. To be honest with you, I first thought about breaking your leg for breaking Uraraka's leg, but I decided not to since it was a fair fight. However, I have one thing to ask you. Izuku took a deep breath, relaxing his stance. Why didn't you dodge her attack? Why did you retaliate against her, breaking her leg? Bakugo frowned, thinking. He could have dodged the last attack and avoided hurting her, but he didn't. Reason? To win. By not dodging her, he ensured that she'll continue her attack, landing on his trap. I did it to win. I didn't dodge because I wanted to defeat her as fast as possible. My shoulder got hurt pretty badly. Bakugo stared at his eyes earnestly. Nothing personal, it's just how it is. This festival was a showcase of their abilities, and she displayed plenty of her abilities. Now it's his turn. Fine. You broke her leg to win, I got it. Izuku nodded in understanding, watching as the countdown was reaching 0. An eye for an eye. T'll break your leg to win, his expression hardened. And the worst part? I won't use my quirk to do it, I'll humiliate you. Today. And I'll put some dirt in your eye. Time to display some of the martial arts that he perfected using his Sharingan. His eyes slowly swirled, turning crimson red. Begin, Aizawa calmly announced the beginning of the last match. The arena turned silent. Not because the crowd stopped roaring, no, it was because Izuku was so focused that he blocked out everything else. Everything was so slow and quiet that Izuku could hear his heartbeat and his breathing. Total concentration. His body was thrumming with controlled fury. Across from him stood Bakugo, his usual explosive bravado replaced with something colder, sharper. He heard it loud and clear. Izuku intended to not use his quirk against him. Such disrespect and disregard for him made him shake furiously. This wasn't the reckless Bakugo who charged headfirst into battle. No, this Bakugo was hunting for something, an excuse. A reason to force Izuku's hand, to make him use it. But Izuku wouldn't give him one. Not after what he had done to Uraraka. Bakugo moved first. A blast rocketed from his palms, sending him soaring toward Izuku with blistering speed. A right hook, followed by an explosion meant to disrupt Izuku's footing. Izuku didn't move. His Sharingan spun. Every micro-movement, every twitch of Bakugo's muscles, played out in slow motion in his mind. He sidestepped, barely shifting, letting the explosion roar past him. His fingers moved. A precise strike to Bakugo's exposed wrist, sending jolts of electricity to his hand. The blast in Bakugo's palm misfired wildly into the sky. What? Bakugo stared at his shaking hand in shock. He knew what this was. It was a nerve disruption attack. But how? When? Why? How in tarnation does he know that? Bakugo blew an explosion onto his hand, the shockwave dispelling the effects of the attack. Izuku chuckled. You're not using it, Bakugo said, voice steady. Izuku didn't answer. Bakugo launched himself again, this time faking left before twisting midair and sending an explosion down to accelerate toward Izuku's back. But Izuku's eyes caught everything. The moment Bakugo's foot twitched, he knew where he'd land. While the Sharingan gave him a glimpse at the future, it didn't enhance his basic speed to counter an attack. This is where Speed 3 comes to play. A flick of his wrist, redirecting Bakugo's strike. A sharp elbow into his exposed ribs. Followed by a sweep to knock him off. Balance. Niji Hyuga. Izuku was copying his style. Bakugo barely caught himself with an explosion mid-fall, flipping back onto his feet. Are you trying to mock me? Is the distance between us this large? Bakugo's body shook with a mix of pain and anger. Yeah. You're beneath me. You're outclassed in every category. Izuku chuckled with mirth. In fact, you're weak, he gave him a savage grin. Bakugo shot forward again. This time, he was faster. His explosions came in bursts, zigzagging, keeping Izuku from predicting his exact path. Except Izuku wasn't predicting. He was seeing. Izuku dodged his attack, bending down and sending a palm strike to his chest, kicking the air out of his lungs. Gawk! Bakugo coughed some phlegm, feeling as if his soul got kicked out of its body for a moment. He created distance, clutching his chest as he breathed in heavily. So he coughed. You won't use your quirk, is that it? Bakugo glared. Yeah. Izuku answered dismissively. Why should a lion use his claws to hunt a rabbit? Just crush it using your weight, step on it. T'll make you fight me seriously. Bakugo launched again, an explosion propelling him forward. Izuku slipped just under the blast radius, weaving through the smoke. His footwork was fluid, blending Baguazhang and Aikido, redirecting the force of Bakugo's momentum to the side. Bakugo twisted midair, blasting himself into a somersault to reorient. But Izuku was already on him. A sharp Kyokushin karate elbow slammed toward Bakugo's ribs. He barely crossed his arms in time, blocking, but the impact sent a shockwave through his bones. This wasn't Izuku using any type of power, this is his pure physical power. Every punch in his base form shook Bakugo's bones. This is a body sculpted through countless hours of pain. Izuku didn't let up. He hooked his leg around Bakugo's and swept, dropping him toward the ground. But the moment Bakugo fell, his palm hit the arena floor. Boom, an explosion blasted him backward, flipping onto his feet. Come on, Kaken, you're making this easy, Izuku taunted, shaking his head. Bakugo's eyes narrowed to a glare. Asterisk. Don't call me that, he warned. Or what? Gonna blast me? Come on then, fight me! Bakugo dove forward, explosions bursting from his palms in rapid succession. But Izuku danced through the chaos. Twisting his upper body like a snake, his steps fluid. GQ footwork kept him one step ahead, every move deliberate, precise. Izuku charged, a brutal Muay Thai knee to Bakugo's stomach. He gasped. Elbow strike to the jaw, his head snapped. Sideways. Bakugo snarled and retaliated, swinging an explosive haymaker, but Izuku ducked low, grabbed his wrist, and judo throw. Bakugo slammed into the ground, hard. The crowd gasped. Aizawa's eyes were analytical, admiring the techniques that he was witnessing. Only a man who trained in martial arts could understand how many moves Izuku Midoriya used in this fight. Bakugo screeched, flipping to his feet, his palms blazing. You dash. Boom! He rocketed toward Izuku, this time twisting his entire body midair. A devastating spinning explosion came down like a meteor, but Izuku met him head-on. Enough dodging. He planted his feet and threw up his arms in an X-block, absorbing the force. This shouldn't be possible, but Protection 3 allowed him to do it without harm. The moment Bakugo landed, Izuku countered a devastating Wing Chun chain punch series hammered into his guard, forcing him back. Izuku sidestepped an incoming explosion, closing the gap with terrifying speed. His hand shot forward, claw grip strike 2. The throat, but at the last second, he stopped just short, tapping Bakugo's neck instead. Bakugo froze. He knew that would have been lethal. He swallowed. The crowd watched with fear, clutching their own throat and swallowing. Izuku grinned. Boom boy, you're getting slow. Shut up. Bakugo threw a desperate explosion, but Izuku anticipated it. He weaved through, caught Bakugo's wrist, and dislocated his shoulder with a brutal armlock. Bakugo screamed in pain. The crowd went silent as they observed the fight. But Izuku wasn't done. A blinding fast taekwondo spinning heel kick smashed into Bakugo's jaw, sending him sprawling. Bakugo's head moved aimlessly, his brain rattled by the impact. Deciding to end it, Izuku directly delivered the final hit, a Muay Thai low shin kick to his leg, directly breaking his bone upon impact. Purple. Gakea. Bakugo clutched his leg and roared in pain. The skin of his leg began to swell rapidly, turning dark. He had high pain tolerance, but he wasn't on the level of Izuku Midoriya. He couldn't willingly break his bones like him. No one was. You're lucky I didn't use Krav Maga. Izuku directly punched the screaming Bakugo, knocking him out and throwing him outside the ring with a cold expression. Silent. So silent you could hear a pin drop. His muscular chest heaved, hands clenching into fists as he stood in strength, looking at the announcer, the crimson eyes dispersed, leaving behind an ominous glowing green eyes. The crowd stared in shock at the scene, disbelief coloring their expression. The last fight wasn't an intense ultimate showdown of the strongest quirks, no. It wasn't even about quirks. It was a one-sided beatdown. One side could predict everything, counter with ease, easily handle the other side's quirk and possessing countless martial arts prompts. The other was a disliked kid for his attitude but powerful nonetheless, strong quirk, strong body, strong mouth. However, no matter how much the crowd hated Bakugo's personality, they all sympathized with him, feeling sorry for what happened to him. Present Mike awoke from his stupor, he rushed in. Bakugo is unable to continue. The winner is Midoriya Izuku, asterisk. He clicked a button, closing the mic. Aizawa. Your students are scary. For once, I agree. That kid's a problem. Aizawa felt a nervous drop of sweat fall from his forehead. No quirk. Defeating one of the strongest students without even using his quirk. Even he, a pro hero, couldn't do that. This is beyond being the best, this is an undisputed monster. Izuku raised his hands and jumped cheerfully, his cold expression changed to a warm exhilarated smile as he faced the crowd. Personality shift, mode, Lufty. A smart monster. The stadium erupted with powerful cheers, marking the end of the sports festival. Chapter 36, The Champion's Reward. The moment the sports festival ended, the stadium roared with cheers, but Izuku Midoriya barely paid attention. Standing atop the podium, basking in the golden glow of victory, he only had one thought. That was fun. Izuku walked past the crowds that cheered for him, their cheering reached a crazed high pitch, practically higher than the average limit of a human capable of hearing. It was so loud that it became quiet. Izuku jumped around, giving the crowds high fives with a body language full of energy. Dude is totally different when fighting. A man in his early 30s muttered. Yeah, most fighters enter a battle mode, he's one of them. Remind me not to bring my girlfriend here. Ever again, she dumped me for him. Skill issue, couldn't be him. Wait. Carla? Why are you looking at the kid like that? He's a minor. Shut up. I didn't do anything. These pictures are memorial. Izuku opened the door and entered, leaving the crowd behind him. The noise stopped. His expression changed into a calm one, his previous smile wiped. He did it, he is the number one. However, he wanted to check on Shoto, he felt somewhat worried about him. As for Bakugo? Not so much. Izuku felt conflicted about the explosive blonde. One moment he is a good friend, the next he is a horrible person, pick a side already. Such a person is exhausting. Nonetheless, Izuku grabbed his phone and headed to the nursery, going to check on Shoto. As to why he grabbed his phone? Well, it was to record their expressions of pain for future teasing, blackmailing. Time to collect some souvenirs. With a relaxed stride, Izuku entered the infirmary, the scent of antiseptic filling the air. Recovery girl huffed at the sight of him. She didn't even have the energy to deal with him. You don't need healing. Get out, she spat with venom. Not here for healing, Izuku said, flashing his best innocent grin. Just visiting a couple of dear friends. His eyes landed on Shoto first. The half-and-half prodigy lay still, bandages wrapped around his arms, staring blankly at the ceiling. Shoto, you awake? Shoto turned his head slightly, blinking in exhaustion. Midoriya? Yep, Izuku said, already pulling out his phone. Say cheese. The camera flashed multiple times. Shoto blinked again. What are you doing? Izuku ignored the question, scrolling through his shots. The angle was perfect. Shoto's blank stare, his messy hair, the sheer defeat in his expression. Beautiful. Nice, Izuku muttered. This one's going into the archives. Shoto exhaled through his nose. Why? For future use, Izuku said cryptically before pocketing his phone. Then, he turned to Bakugo. Bakugo was in worse shape. Strapped to the bed, his arms covered in burn marks and bandages, his face was frozen in a permanent scowl, leg held by a casket. Izuku smirked. Bakugo **. No response. He leaned closer, whispering, TM taking pictures. Bakugo twitched. His fingers clenched slightly. Izuku snapped a few more shots, making sure to capture every angle. The fury, the humiliation, the absolute misery on Bakugo's face. It was art. Rest up, guys. We've got plenty of school left. Shoto just sighed. He was too depressed to retort. Bakugo made a strangled noise, but he was too weak to explode. Izuku laughed, chewing on a pack of gums that he stole from Bakugo. He wiped his greasy fingers on Bakugo's orthopedic cast and left with a smug grin. X2. Mom. Izuku caught the speeding figure of his mother in a tight hug. Izuku, Inko's small figure hugged him like a squirrel. Easy there, Izuku chuckled, patting her head. Come on, I gotta go face the music, he smiled fondly. Go get them. Inko nodded, wiping the tears from her eyes and pushing him out. Roger that. Standing on the podium, Izuku barely listened as the announcer hyped up his victory. The crowd's cheers blurred together. A sea of admiration and disbelief. Then, All Might stepped forward, a proud smile on his face. Young Midoriya, he said, voice booming. You have fought with strength, determination, and heart. You have earned this victory, wear it proudly, The number 1 medal gleamed as All Might placed it around Izuku's neck. Izuku grinned. Thanks, sensei. But the moment of triumph was cut short. Without warning, All Might's fist crashed into Izuku's gut. Boom! A shockwave rippled through the stadium, dust kicking up around them. Izuku's feet slid back slightly. The audience gasped. Before Izuku could react. Boom! Another punch struck his side. He barely had time to process it when. Boom! A third blow hit his chest, sending out another explosion of force and wind. Inko stared in horror at the sight. Silence. Izuku stood there, perfectly still, a hand lazily scratching his head. That's it? He asked, grinning savagely. All Might grinned. The crowd erupted into chaos. He took those hits like nothing. What the hell? What is Midoriya made of? All Might raised Izuku's hand high into the air, his voice echoing across the stadium. This is my successor. The reporters, the pro-heroes, the entire world watching frozen in shock. The internet exploded. It was so bad that the servers shut down immediately. Hundreds of millions of people began spreading the news like madmen. But that was none of Izuku's concern as he simply left after receiving everything and showing off. Why? Because he got something nice. Same thing, she said, flashing her teeth. For the third time no, Izuku said, shaking his head. Coward. I prefer smart. Mirko snickered, slapping his back hard enough to send him forward a step. Give me patience. Fine, fine. I'll get you eventually. No, you won't. We'll see. Izuku sighed as she finally walked off, waving lazily over her shoulder. She walked away with an exaggerated swagger, shifting her weight from one side to the other as she displayed her asset. Izuku directly cut eye contact with the past users of OFA. He rolled his eyes and left. He stared at his phone. The massive influx of followers was overwhelming. After All Might's deceleration, his followers count jumped from 3 million to 17 million. It is still climbing up at a scary rate. He needed a social media manager, fast. Until then, he'll not post anything. But first. Izuku grinned as he saw the 3 million yen that was added to his family bank account. With this, he can hire a manager and go on a good date with Uraraka. He hummed a tune as Endeavor was punching the wall in another location. By the time the day ended, Izuku found himself in his mother's apartment inside UA, sitting comfortably with his mother, Inko, and Toshinori Yagi. Inko was practically glowing with pride. My baby won the sports festival. Izuku took a sip of his drink. Yeehup. I always knew you could do it, she continued, eyes sparkling. Toshinori chuckled. You raised quite the champion, Miss Midoriya. I did, didn't I? Didn't I? Inko beamed, unknowingly invading Yagi's personal space, making the man blush. Why yeah. Izuku leaned back, feeling a rare sense of warmth settle in his chest. It wasn't just victory. It was this being here. Surrounded by family. The sports festival was fun. Projections had predicted. One for All is progressing too fast in his hands, All for One mused. He adapts, overcomes, and learns far too efficiently. If left alone, he may very well reach a point beyond my control. Silence. Then, the unmistakable sound of Kurogiri's warp gate igniting. All for One's head tilted slightly. It is time. It was time to give the champion his reward. 5 massive containment units hissed open, revealing the high-end Nomu within. Their bodies twitched, spines shifting grotesquely as they awoke from their slumber. Their glowing red eyes locked onto the figure before them, awaiting orders. Incomplete. That was the warning that Garaki offered. They can follow simple commands, they have no personality, and their cognitive ability is at the level of a common web novel reader. All for One's voice remained eerily soft. Kill him, he said, showing them a picture. The Nomu stepped forward. Leave no trace. I want his mangled corpse on my table. I'll take my quirk from his dead body. Congratulations. X-16. Directly as Izuku stepped inside the door, he was met with countless confetti flying everywhere, balloons of all colors, and a sign that read 1A's champion. You guys. Izuku felt his throat tightening as multiple hands grabbed him in. Laughter and chatter filled the common area. Izuku sat comfortably, a slice of cake on his plate as he scrolled through his phone. Invitations flooded his inbox. Endeavor's agency, Hawks, even Mirko had sent another offer. These were online. The offline letters will probably fill his desk tomorrow. Say, where's Oyama? He's been gone for a while now. Uraraka asked, cake cream all over her cheeks. Girl. Momo sighed, wiping her face. It can't be helped, Uraraka just didn't care about her appearance in front of boys, always acting boyish. Perhaps that's why Izuku chose her, he probably liked tomboys. Or so Momo thought. Uraraka giggled. That tickles dash. Now that you mention it, I don't see Lita anywhere as well, he just disappeared without a word a while ago, he said. His mom called him for something, Sue muttered, poking her lips and tilting her head quizzically. Izuku remained silent. Stain, Izuku will deal with him later. She's really not giving up, huh? Kaminari chuckled, peering over Izuku's shoulder. He was Su00000 jealous. The screen had multiple messages from a certain rabbit-themed hero. She just wants a punching bag, Jiru smirked. Before Izuku could reply, everything changed. A pressure unlike anything he had felt before crashed down upon him. His chest seized. His mind screamed. Danger sense. It wasn't a warning. It was a death sentence. His fork snapped in half as his body moved before thought. Warning! Mission alert! Task, survive. Get down! The very second he shouted, a black portal tore open in the center of the room. A mechanical voice boomed through the emergency speakers. Intruders detected. Emergency lockdown. Activated. But it was too late. They were already here. The first thing to emerge was an arm. It was unnatural, elongated, covered in dark, sinewy muscle, fingers tipped with gleaming claws. Then came the eyes, dozens of them, red, glowing, predatory. 5 high-end Nomu stepped through the portal, their monstrous forms towering over the students, followed by the figure of another familiar Nomu called Kurogiri. For a single, terrible second, time seemed to stop. Then, carnage. The floor exploded as a Nomu lunged at Izuku, its speed so overwhelming that the air boomed from its movement. Izuku reacted first. And with a whopping 50% of OFA. B000000M. He blurred forward, slamming a fist into the Nomu's chest before it could reach him. The force sent a shockwave through the entire building, shattering windows. The Nomu was blasted backward, crashing into the wall, but it regenerated instantly. Before Izuku could adjust, another Nomu was already attacking. Its claws came for his throat, he dodged. A third Nomu aimed for his spine, he twisted midair. A fourth sent a shockwave that obliterated the furniture, he braced himself, shooting out through multiple walls. Izuku! Dum 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 dum. Dum! Dum! King engine activated. A hand creeped out from the walls, followed by a glowing red light hidden by the dust. His eyes turned blood red, his expression turned into that of a murderous machine. Chapter 37, My Turn. So, Inko muttered, watching Yagi gulp in a drunken haze. She loved his deep blue eyes, they were somewhat heroic. She didn't know why she felt that he was heroic, maybe it was his attitude or confidence. He was also horrible at dealing with women, reminding her of her ex-husband. It has to be said, Inko's type is a confident virgin. A trait that Izuku himself inherited from his father. Yagi eyed her, awkwardly shifting in her place. He didn't feel comfortable. Yagi has never been alone with a woman for this long his entire life. The 40-plus man felt insecure about his frail body. Yagi-sensei, do you have a girlfriend? Inko asked casually, a soft gaze in her eyes. Yagi blinked, caught off guard by the question. No, I don't, he fidgeted in place. I see. Inko eyed him closely, approaching him meaningfully. I don't have a boyfriend neither, she confessed with a smile. Oh! Shame, you're a total catch, Ms. Midoriya, he coughed. Call me Inko. You're a total catch too, you know, an office worker who is single and sweet, you're very dependable too. Oh, you must be joking, Yagi laughed. What can be considered good about me? I'm a sickly old man that no woman would ever want. He took another sip from his sake. I would want you, she confessed directly, landing her soft small hands on top of his as they locked their gaze together. Few moments passed with them simply staring in wonder and fascination, each having a whirlpool of thoughts. Eventually, Inko did the first move and got her face closer to his, her rosy blush failing to hide her embarrassment. It can't be helped, Inko suspected that Yagi is a virgin and didn't know how to take the first move. Wait, Yagi stopped her with a soft firm tone. There's something you need to know about me. Something that I've been hiding from you, he quickly added with a sincere voice. Actually, undash. Warning. Intruders detected, all heroes must reach to building 1A as soon as possible. Inko's horrified expression was interrupted by a strong gush of smoke. Yagi's expression turned from a soft one to an enraged one, his body began to change and morph as he began to hulk out and shift into his hero persona. He stood tall, a mountain of muscles and power, clad in the same clothing that he was wearing. Inko stared at him with disbelief and utter confusion. Stay here, he bolted out at high speed, destroying walls like paper. Momo, make a sword. Izuku bolted out of the wall, dragging the Nomus with him using Black Whip outside of the building and crashing down on the concrete floor. Rage. Hatred. Pain. All Izuku wanted was a nice night to celebrate, but he wasn't given such a simple privilege. He was so full of hatred that his eyes began to hurt for some reason. His vision got better though, he'll investigate later. They were hunting him down, 5 high-end Nomus with the help of the hiding figure of Kurogiri. 5 of them. He sent 5. Grotesque, hulking figures stitched together from nightmares and science. Muscles layered over bone, metal embedded in flesh, and eyes burning with primal fury. Nomu, high-end. Not the mindless beasts of the past, but thinking, hunting killers, or so Izuku assumed. And their eyes were locked on him, as if he was their prey. But Izuku wasn't anyone's prey. The first Nomu lunged, faster than a bullet. Its claws came for his glowing crimson eyes, and Izuku moved on instinct. Grabbing it by the throat and slamming it down, crushing its windpipe. Concrete shattered. Steel twisted. Dust billowed into the night. Warning! Warning! The blaring sounds of sirens awoke both of Bakugo and Shoto, who were sleeping early due to exhaustion. What the dash! Shoto quickly got up, ignoring the shaking earth from the impacts. Someone is fighting. That's all he needed to know. Time to pull up. red eyes opened wide in a calm rage. Bakugo awakened in a sour mood. Izuku slammed the Nomu into the ground, his grip like iron on its skull. The creature snarled and fought, but he pressed harder, shoving its head into the dirt with a force that cratered the earth. His voice was low, dangerous as he buried it. Down. My turn. And with that, he threw the Nomu with a roar, launching it through a building. The other four followed, leaping through the destruction like wolves on the hunt. The moon bathed them in silver, casting their monstrous forms in ghostly light. An explosion of ice shot out the figure of Shoto, followed closely by Bakugo and Tokoemi. What the hell is happening? Bakugo calmly spoke. Or well, as calm as he could. Nomu attack, portal opened inside the building. I got a plan and I need your help to control things, Tokoemi quickly informed them of what happened. Lay it, Shoto nodded. If Izuku couldn't take the threat alone, it meant that none of them can. Time to work together. Fuck, Bakugo cursed, rubbing the drowsiness off of his eyes as he listened with attention. My quirk, Dark Shadow. It gets stronger at night and now we're at 11 p.m. I want you to corner them for me, he quickly explained. I thought you couldn't control your quirk at night? Shoto raised an eyebrow. I can't. That's why you need to run afterwards, Tokoemi spoke solemnly. This was no longer a school ground. It was a battlefield. And Izuku was fighting for them. So Tokoemi will assist as much as possible. We have to do something. Uraraka shouted nervously. Do what? Did you see how fast they move? I can barely keep track of their movement. Let the teachers handle this. Kaminari shouted back with visible fear. The students looked at each other nervously, turning their gazes towards Izuku. The Nomas didn't hesitate, they attacked with no coordination. Izuku was already moving. He ducked low, his body humming with 45% of his power, and drove his elbow into the creature's ribs. The sound of snapping bone echoed into the night, but it wasn't enough. The Nomu snarled, its body regenerating with sickening speed. I'll enjoy breaking you over and over, Izuku snarled, a feral smile on his face. X18. Maybe we should let him handle this one, Jiro muttered helplessly. No way, Izuku becomes scary when angered. She could still feel the fear that his heartbeat emitted. It was so loud that it wrung judgment itself. Before the second could pounce, Izuku turned, catching its strike mid-swing. The force rattled through his bones, but his powerful grip didn't falter. With a smirk, he twisted sharply, ripping the creature's arm from its socket as he kicked it out. Blood sprayed, hot and thick, splattering across his face. Kill. Izuku will kill. The Nomu shrieked, but Izuku didn't care. He swung the severed arm like a club, smashing it across the monster's own skull. Bone cracked. Flesh split. Still, it stood. Still, it healed. Good. Izuku liked that it healed. He was so pissed that an infinite punching bag was just the thing he wanted. The third Nomu dove from above, wings spread wide, claws gleaming like razors. Speed quirk combined with a hawk mutation quirk. A deadly combination. But Izuku's danger sense howled. He pivoted on his heel, sliding beneath the strike, and grabbed the beast by the throat. With a surge of power, he slammed it face first into the ground. Dust and stone exploded as its head bursted violently. Upon impact. It's fast but not durable. Try coating your hands with something sharp to halt their healing, Bruce instructed calmly. Another one threw spiked at his direction, expelling them from its back. Transformation quirk, hedgehog. Izuku's hands blurred as he struck the spikes, sending them down to the ground and impaling them in it. They were as strong as steel. But they weren't stronger than his Protection 3 that was combined with OFA. Izuku exploded forward, viciously attacking the Nomu, punching it over and over until it turned into a pile of mincemeat. He stood tall, blood dripping from his form, his expression showing a deadly malice. Now! Tokoyami shouted. Bakugo and Shoto shot him out to the direction of Izuku at top speed, coating him in a layer of ice. Come out, Dark Shadow! Reagag. A deep, guttural rumble that rises into a primal, chaotic scream, sharp, jagged, and filled with raw, untamed power. Izuku laughed at the top of his lungs as Dark Shadow's hand crushed downward on the speeding Nomu, pummeling it repeatedly. TLL let you handle this one, Izuku shouted high. I got it, go get them. Tokoyami replied, dodging the debris that were shooting out and using the ice shield as he struggled for control. The fourth Nomu charged, its body an armored juggernaut. Muscle over bone. A living tank. It crashed into him, the impact shaking the earth. Izuku gritted his teeth, pain flashing through him as steel-hard fists pounded against his ribs. But he didn't yield. He shoved back, fingers digging into the creature's side, and with a roar, he lifted it. Muscles screamed. Bones groaned. But he threw the monster like a ragdoll, hurling it through the outer wall of the training facility. Yue is getting damaged, Izuku was aware. However, his main focus is staying alive for now. He wasn't alone. Izuku. Momo showed and threw him a heavy big sturdy sword that was weighed down with the help of Uraraka. Izuku caught it, a small grin plastered on his face as he wiped his bloody face. The fifth came from behind, maw splitting open to unleash a burning energy beam. The world turned white-hot as the blast scorched the ground, vaporizing concrete and steel. But Izuku was faster. He dodged, moving like a blur, his body a shadow in the chaos. In a heartbeat, he was on the Nomu, his hand plunging into its open mouth. He gripped its lower jaw and ripped, tearing bone and flesh until the jaw snapped free. The Nomu screamed or tried to. Blood gushed, and Izuku slammed his knee into its gut, driving the breath from its lungs to shut it up. Now swallow, he stuffed its jaw inside its mouth. Izuku moved with high speed, slicing its head and body parts to pieces using the large sword. Ha! Ha! Izuku stood, heavily heaving as the four figures stood up again and lunged at him. Useless. Izuku sliced multiple heads with a nimble movement. It's useless. He impaled its heart, pulling it out and stuffing it inside its mouth. No matter what he did, it's useless. Regeneration. The most annoying ability ever. He ripped its head apart with a brutal show of violence that left his classmates shaken. High ends were crafted for war. For survival. Their bodies knitted themselves back together, muscle and bone reforming. With monstrous speed. And they stood again, stronger, faster. A biological weapon in the form of a living organism. Izuku's eyes turned focused, his fit of rage subsiding. Izuku didn't know why, but his vision is really good right now. Check the Sharingan, maybe it evolved or something, and instructed. Yeah, it most likely did, Izuku spoke as he dodged a claw. The first Nomu leapt. Iron-sharp claws aimed for his heart. Izuku stepped into the strike, catching the creature by its head. He drove his thumb into its eye, feeling the sickening pop beneath his touch. The Nomu screamed, and Izuku ripped, tearing the head free from its body. Ha! Ha! I can do this all day. But so can they. And they won't die, unlike him. You're not strong enough to take them alone, wait for the eighth, Hikage spoke with a glare, daring Izuku to disobey. The other users locked onto Izuku's figure with a warning gaze. Listen. That was all they asked for. Another one attacked, powerful teeth biting into his leg and pulling him down. Izuku spun, burying the Nomu in the dirt as he tore its head off with his speed. Fine. I'll not directly engage. I'll distract them as needed, Izuku grinned as Dark Shadow tore the Nomu apart. He had to admit, he did not expect Tokoyami to pull up like that. I guess AFO didn't calculate it right this time, he thought up, Izuku chuckled, ducking low to avoid a laser attack. 4 of them leaped towards him, all at the same time as they overwhelmed his. Like a pack of hyenas, they bit into him and tried to tear him apart. Multiple black tendrils shot out, I'm emailing them and pushing them away. Do you honestly think that AFO is that stupid? Yoichi, the first user of OFA and AFO's brother, shook his head. Izuku halted, his brain registering the information. What do you mean? This is most likely a distraction from something. You must have realized that the 8th is taking too long, didn't you? Something is happening, he spoke grimly. His eyes widened, the pupils shrinking to pinpricks as the weight of the realization crashed down on him. A cold sheen of fear glazed over them, the whites dark and exposed, trembling at the edges. It was the look of someone standing at the edge of an abyss, staring into a truth too horrific to deny. Mom? That's the end of this tale for now. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in part 4. Peace.